Hey everyone. Sorry I had to mute the opening there. Again, I haven't put any music on there because the original music that was on there is now getting content ID and just making every video ineligible for monetization going forward. So I will fix that later on when I have a chance. I just haven't had a real chance to do that yet. Hopefully you're live. I have Cheshire here that can actually be trying to follow along with some live chat stuff and let me know how the audio and all that stuff is. And we're going to be going through some stuff today. So
I got a Squarespace ad that has Oscar the Grouch in it.
Squarespace. I haven't heard of that term in like ages. Well, let me kind of go over real quick why I want to do this and what my decision making was to do it, if you don't mind. So first of all, as people know, I don't normally release emails and do private messages. That's just kind of a standard I have. It is my own ethical framework that I go by. It has nothing to do with anybody else. There's no law against it. It's just that I think that things should remain confidential. I also am not a Kantian ethicist, though. I don't believe that there is such situations where there's never such a case where you should do certain things or not do certain things. So I think there should be situational ethics where there is a higher value to be had by doing certain things. So this hangout is a one-off. This is something that I hopefully will never have to do again when talking about other people's emails. If you send me stuff, it is confidential. However, the two factors that went into this for me to release these things are this, and I will get Cheshire's input on it, whose ethics are a little more questionable than mine, but still up there.
Rude.
Just a little more flexible, I guess you could say. But
different. My standards are different.
Flexibly different. But I wouldn't have her any other way. Everybody needs a trash goblin in their party.
Everybody needs a rogue.
The two things that went into this is one, Kyle already released a lot of stuff, but he didn't release in context. So he already kind of just, doggy eating. No, doggy, you don't eat on mic, doggy. Have mic etiquette. People go nuts. And so he already released some stuff. But the second thing is, this stuff is actually my lawyer, has seen. It was put as Exhibit A in the documents to be used when it came time to have discovery, which we never went to because Kyle defaulted, and Kyle can no longer file anything. He cannot file anything for the court. He's done. There is no vacating. There is no going back. There's no do-overs. This is not small claims court or anything like that. This is mandatory business complex court. He's finished. Now, I have talked to my lawyer. My lawyer did authorize this to be fine. He said there shouldn't be a problem with it. Just so you don't have to believe me, I can show you what he said. I blocked out some of it. So, let me see here. So just to let you know that I let him know I have a difficult time waiting for the court, as over thousands of people want answers since the court is effectively over. Do you see any issue with me showing emails of Kyle asking me to turn over NonSequitur channel for SEO reasons and such, as those emails were mentioned in the court records themselves? This is from my lawyer, which I have for confidentiality reasons I've blocked out. I know that it's a growing process, and by the way, this is only a few hours ago. So I know this is a growing process. I have to wait for the order. Having to wait for the order. You are not prevented from sharing any of that with your viewers at this point. I don't see any that interfering with the case at all. Just be sure not to assert anything that be classified as defamation, untrue allegations, or statements about him. Posting screenshots should not be a problem. Hopefully, we'll have have the order soon. I checked this morning; the order is not there. However, the order is for him to sign over the channel to me and release all the financials, which we're going to get into shortly. So,
and as all these emails are part of that court document, it will all be made public anyway.
Well, they have them available. They're listed under Exhibit A. I don't think each individual email was entered in the court yet. They would have been, though. And so... Mm-hmm. So anyways, I want to go kind of step by step through it. First of all, do those reasons make sense to you, Chesh? And I hope to the viewers about why I'm doing this. Like I said, this is a one-off for me. I don't normally ever do this. But
yeah,
I think there's extenuating exigent circumstances of why I want to release this. Because, one, I have absolutely nothing to hide. And two, there's a lot of idiots out there giving out misinformation. I mean, an exceptional amount of misinformation. Because, one, they don't have access to any of this stuff. Chesh and my other friends have seen these things. They know I was telling the truth from day one. They understand the medical situation. They understand no money was being actually held for that particular reason. And I've been through it all. So this is my opportunity to basically shove that up these narrators' butt, because I'm one video that's going to be made monetized. I hope, because the
Well,
last one was the
yeah.
only one that I have so far.
I think there's two. I think there's two kind of dog butt. What are you doing? I think there are two things that are a little bit of that are part of this. One is that Kyle's already released um, your emails.
Yeah,
Not all of them,
no, but a lot of
obviously, and
information.
obviously not the context. So there's kind of an unspoken agreement that's been made in that kind of regard, like a social
Right.
agreement, in that if he's willing to show things and keep and remove the context, you're welcome to. It's only fair if you're allowed to show the rest of the context of those
I'm
emails.
allowed to. I normally don't, though. Even if somebody shows my stuff, I usually
Yeah,
don't. So this is like
and
literally a one-off, I think.
there are extenuating
Mm-hmm.
circumstances here. Um, to the point where I would say like it's excessive.
Yeah.
So and the exception also kind of proves the rule at this point, as well as Kyle's not in a position to um because these are meant to be public anyway via the court records.
Right.
There's no reason not to, as well as there's kind of a priority issue going on as well, because you promised as much transparency as you can give,
Yeah.
and because the court order is over and these are to be made public, you're just making something that should be public to everybody easier to find.
Yeah, and I should also note that when Kyle released a lot of stuff, he never released anything that said anything of the sort that some of these narrators were trying to say. If I ever asked him to like do anything dishonest or unethical, why didn't Kyle ever release anything of that? Oh, wait, because it never happened. Everything I did was above board from day one. There was nothing whatsoever that was supposed to be unethical or to avoid taxes like that. We're going to demonstrate that here. So if Kyle thought for a second that, by the way, you'll see that it was defamation per se. I have a demand letter where the lawyer actually says you are defaming Steve. You know, it is defamation per se by having it is saying that he was doing medical fraud or tax evasion. We were going to sue for defamation per se. The only thing was it would have been more costly to do so because it would have been a longer battle. Because defamation per se, I would have had to like shown all this other stuff, and he could have fought that, and we were like, you know what? I already got him on these other things like fraud and fraudulent conversion and unjust enrichment. He was already found liable for all those things. I didn't care about the defamation per se. Wouldn't have added anything to the case, but we did note that in a demand letter that he was defaming me because he had zero evidence that I was doing anything unethical or asked him to hold anything for any unethical reasons or if for medical that was unethical. Everything I did was above board, and I will show you this. So anybody who says otherwise, from here on out, after this video is over, you show them this video and they are lying to you. It's just straight up lying to you. Their goal is to try to defame me. They're not trying to get to the truth. I would not file a several $1,000 lawsuit if I had any culpability to do anything illegal or unethical. Why would I? That would make no sense because all this is going to be public record.
Yeah, and I think that it's one because of the public record stuff, and two, essentially what you're doing is because this is all public record stuff, you're doing, you're not just releasing this information. It's already there. You've just made it more accessible to
Right.
people, and you want to give people that transparency that you promised.
Yeah, and so let me clarify. I'm not going to be watching.
And it's
live.
not like Kyle's coming around and saying, "Hey, please don't show this."
Yeah, well, he's done. He doesn't care. His reputation's gone. But here's the thing. I was going to do a rum and coke night tonight, and I still am. We were going to do this for the rum and coke, but then I was like, this is going to be too much if I have questions while I'm trying to do this. So Chester and I are going to show all these things now. I'm not going to answer the questions in the live chat here, so don't bother asking them because I'm not even watching the live chat most of the time. So I have it up right now, but for the most part, I won't be able to watch it. Chester will. I'll try to answer maybe some, but we'll save the questions for the rum and coke after this.
Yeah, so we're going to get this information out to you guys as cogently, as quickly as possible, so that way when Rum and Coke is up and running, it'll give you guys time to think of some questions, and then we will be able to address whatever your questions are, and that'll be at 9 p.m. EST.
Yeah, she can maybe take some of the questions now and then ask me later, or I may get a few, but I just want to get through it. Okay, so here we go. By the way, I do have multiple allergies right now. I'm like not feeling the greatest. I was sneezing up a storm. I'll try to mute if I sneeze. I've already taken my pills here, my drugs of choice, allergy medicine. But I just took them, so they haven't kicked in yet. But my eyes were watering. I've been sneezing. I've been doing it since yesterday.
Poor Steve.
I know. All right, so this is the North Carolina Business Public Access. If you go under mandatory complex business case and you go under Judge Gale, you don't even need to do that, but that's what they're under. Under McRae, hit go. It'll come up with my case, McRae versus Curtis, and then it shows the electronic filings. These are electronic court filings, all the way from the complaint to the last order we had, which was 1119, which was our motion to have the channel put back to me. The judge said that if Kyle doesn't file by December 9th, the judgment will be to enter it as default that the channel goes back to me and all financial records to be open to me. Okay, and we'll get into what the means by financial records. Just looking at the Google, YouTube numbers, that's not financial records. Anybody that's taken accounting would know that. If you think that looking at YouTube is your financial books, you don't know accounting. Books are P&L report or profit and loss report, expense reports. These things have the information of how much revenue was generated as opposed to how much expenditure you had to generate that revenue, such as advertising, which we did on Facebook, software, hardware, expenditures. Owner's equity. If you have an actual business, you have what's called an owner's equity. That's how much you have in your assets. These are all things that go into basic accounting. Now, we were going to do a limited liability corporation, and we'll get into the reasons why we didn't, and I'll get into that. But there's still books to be had. There's still financial records of all the revenue streams, which was PayPal, Patreon, Teespring, Streamlabs, Google, and YouTube ad revenue. And I don't know, maybe one other that I was systematically being removed from and no longer having access to. So I don't know the totals of them. I only had a bare estimate from the last time that I saw them, which is the number that I went by, which is about $60,000 total or more. That's probably a very low estimate. The last number I saw was about $50,000, give or take, on YouTube, which is half of that's $25,000 to me. Patreon was about $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Okay, over a year. Let's just say that's $10,000. That's another $5,000 there. So 25 plus 5 is 30,000. So
Bull's internet bill would have been an expense. And the dog lost his ball. I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, and by the way, we get into that a little bit because I paid some stuff for Bullinator stuff, and I tell Kyle to put on the P&L report, and I have all that. So we'll get into that. So that's what the books is. It's a balance sheet, yeah. And so anybody who says that the books is, well, Steve had access to the financials, you're lying. You're just straight up lying. I didn't know whether he was using Peachtree. I didn't know if he was using QuickBooks. I didn't know if he was using Excel. He said he had an Excel spreadsheet. I never saw it, which is not really the best way to do books, obviously. I used QuickBooks way back in the day. But he had really, I don't think he knew what he was doing. He said he had an accountant or CPA that was doing all the books. Well, I figured the accountant would know what they were doing. We found out later he actually did lie about that. He admitted that he never had an actual accountant. So what? What am I supposed to do at that point? I trusted him. He said he literally didn't have anybody doing this during a stream on Discord, but whatever. So I think it was just a friend that he had kind of asked advice from. But I never saw the books. I never had access to the books. So anybody said otherwise, well, where's the books? Why am I suing in court for the books if I had access to them? It makes no sense. That narrative is just nonsense. All right. Oh, another reason. I should have a third reason real quick. I don't forget this. This is the all one and done video. One of the reasons I don't show a lot of this stuff is because it just gives more things for trolls to try to take out of context. Over the last year, I've seen so many idiots take things out of context. It is obscene. And I just sit back and laugh because I know the truth. My friends know the truth. But still, anything you put out, they will run with to try to twist. Anything you put out. It doesn't matter. So
it's actually impressive.
It is impressive. Even this will be people will run with it. People will say, well, Steve said this word here. They'll try to pick it apart and try to take things multiple ways out of context. It'll happen. I just know for a fact. I'm used to it. But I have to, again, weigh the pros and the cons. Is it worth the value to show this stuff as opposed to the narration that they're going to get out of it? I think so. But most of the time it's not. Most of the time it is going to be their running narrative. They're going to try to spin it. But my friends, the people that I trust, my Patreons, my supporters, my subs, they can come to me anytime, and I show them these things. Some of these emails I've showed to a lot of people. Some I haven't. Some are new. But they came to me and they asked me in private, and they realized, hey, you know what? Steve has been telling the truth all along. Even Katie Joy, I showed her some of these things. She admitted I was telling her the truth, that Kyle had lied to her. Mr. Atheist admitted Kyle lied to him. Shannon Q admitted Kyle lied to her. God's engineer and his maybe or maybe not wife, Caitlin Chloe.
That's just true. I feel bad because that's a really, really sad thing that happened to them and that this has gone on. But like,
just throwing that out there. But they admitted Kyle lied to them. So these are Kyle's closest allies. All of them admitted Kyle lied to them. That is substantiated. That is on record. There's no way you can manipulate that. I know Kyle lied to them. I know Kyle lied to me. This is not defamation. This is substantiated because we have their statements. I have the evidence. So there's no defamation to be had there because I have it legit in front of me. So moving on here, this was designated as a complex business case under Section 7A 45.4. Okay, any party may be designated as a mandatory business complex case in an action that involves a material issue related to any of the following. You can go through these. I don't really care. I'm not going to go through all of them. But I want to make sure that people recognize this was an established business. This was a general partnership. Anybody who says otherwise, again, wrong. If you go read the court papers on your convenience, the link is in the video description. Knock yourself out. I'm not going to sit here and go into myopic detail. But it was designated as a complex business case. Matter of fact, if I think it's this... this is the notice of designation as a mandatory complex business case. We actually had to go to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in North Carolina to have it ordered as such. And I think one of these actually might be the signing of it. Is it this one? Yeah. So this right here, Office of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the South State of North Carolina, order to the Honorable Judge Craig, one of the senior... By the way, that's not the right one. Is it right? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, that's the right one. As Chief Justice, North Carolina, the judge was changed afterwards, but by virtue of authority vested by me in the Constitution of North Carolina, in accordance with the laws of North Carolina and the rules of the Supreme Court, and specifically North Carolina General Statute 7A 45.4, which I just showed you, I hereby designate the above reference as a mandatory complex business. Okay? The court treated it as a business, therefore it is legally a business. Again, anybody who says otherwise is wrong. Just straight up wrong. So, all right. So moving on here. Bye. You got any questions so far, Chesh?
Nah. It's all pretty straightforward.
It's all pretty straightforward. This is not complicated stuff. This is why the entire time when people are running BS, I'm just sitting back going, man, you guys have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, this is all, here's the Chief Justice, here's what's been going on, here's that. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So this is the demand letter that I sent from the lawyer. The lawyer actually sent it. Please be advised that the firm represents Mr. Steve McRae in regard to the entitlement to certain funds deriving from the operation of podcast and YouTube channel, the NonSequitur Show. I actually have, by the way, 2 lawyers. In or around December 2017, you and Mr. McRae created and began airing a podcast episode of the NonSequitur Show. You and Mr. McRae entered into a business relationship and agreed that you both appear on the show as co-host, would have equal decision-making power in regard to the show operating and airing, and would provide any potential profit equally, or divide any potential profit equally. After 7 dozen relatively successful episodes, Mr. McRae approached you about expanding your entrepreneurial endeavors to encompass a YouTube channel. That was my idea. After receiving positive feedback from you, Mr. McRae created the account by default, obtained primary ownership of the channel, Shortly thereafter, you encouraged Mr. McRae to surrender primary ownership of the channel, representing to him that the administrative power by you was necessary in order to establish search engine optimization. I have that email. I'll be showing you. Mr. McRae generally believed he relied upon your representations and subsequently made you primary account holder. There was more to it than just the email. We talked about it off air kind of thing. So obviously I can't substantiate that, but the email does. At or around the time of the formation of the channel, Mr. McRae began experiencing medical issues. In anticipation of his surgery, I had, as people know, a hernia that I wanted to get done locally instead of going to have to go 4 hours. This was all within a matter of weeks, though. It was not a long-term thing. It's just I wanted to make sure that it would have been convenient for me, and I wanted to know how it would affect me because I had primary medical and secondary medical. Primary is VA, which I have 0 disability, never got a dime from the VA, nothing, and I have that no matter what I make. The secondary one was a little bit more contingent upon income, but I was only using it for convenience. It wasn't like I couldn't get the operation done. I just wanted to have to go 4 hours, and I wanted to know if this was all worth it to me. So that's where the primary and secondary medical came from. I no longer have to give a crap about the secondary medical. I only go to the VA anyways now. So in anticipation of the surgery, Mr. McRae continue to participate on the talk show. However, he requested that no proceeds from the show be distributed to him at the time. And by the way, that was before we even were, and I'll show you this, but before we were even monetized. There was nothing really distributed. We're talking tens of $20s of dollars, okay? We're even talking in triple digits probably. Devious Dogger, thank you for becoming a member, by the way. Thank you. I am trying to look. And by the way, my producer, Bullinator, is in the live chat. He can substantiate all this. And if he thinks anything I've said is wrong, please call me out on Bullinator. I would expect no less from you. And there's other people that know about this as well. If you think I've said anything that's incorrect, by all means, challenge me on it. I accept all challenges on any of this. And I accept anybody who's running narrative that is somebody who I've not blocked. You can come into the room at Coke Night and you can ask me anything you wish. I have full transparency for a reason. Because I have nothing to hide. Literally nothing to hide. And you will see this in the emails coming up.
I'm getting pulled 7 days to Sunday today. The thing is that with what's going on with most of this stuff is that you've been consistent. Period. Like there hasn't been like any. I've seen people make claims that you've said this and then changed that, and no,
never
hasn't happened. It's been the same story the whole time.
It's what it is they hear one thing and then they hear another thing and they conflate them.
Puck is right over there.
I have Puck's wish list in the description too, by the way.
He's being a bit of a wiener right now. I don't know what his deal is, but I don't know.
Justin, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. All right, so you're right on that. There's never been inconsistency. What there has been is people only hear fractured things, right? They hear this, and when I'm talking about something, I'm usually talking something in context. And by the way, I've talked a lot about these things. There might have been one or two times, things even I can't remember properly. I'm not a computer. But overall, I have been extremely consistent. And yet you have me who's been transparent and consistent. Then you had Kyle, who we found out didn't have a lawyer, didn't have a CPA, didn't keep the books, broke his promise about paying me because he said, Steve will get every dime that's owed to him. Links in the video description of the Death of the Non-Sequitur show and Who's Telling the Truth. All that's out there. And then he goes around and he's telling like Katie, well, I'm not going to pay him. So he broke his promise. I don't break my promises. So there's a huge ethical discrepancy between what I've been doing over the last year and what he's been doing. And so, anyways, moving on. So at the time, you refused to provide half of the show's proceeds to Mr. McRae, and furthermore, refused to distribute the financial statements memorializing the channel's financial position in violation of North Carolina Statute 5949 5950. By the way, when a partner has asked for the financials, you need to provide them. I believe you have 24 to 48 hours, if I'm not mistaken. If you do not, you're held liable for treble damages if there's any damages to be occurred. We are suing for treble damages under North Carolina state statute because he did not show me the books. Again, I think if I had access to the books, why am I suing for the books?
My favorite is the people who have got it wrong by saying you're inconsistent about the amount of money because you say the channel is worth this much and then you say you're getting this much because they can't do the math of what this times 3 is.
Well, here's the thing. The worth of the channel, the $98,000, $100,000 evaluation, they usually go like 3 to 5 years out. When you're doing a business evaluation, you're usually evaluating over a period of time. So when YouTube or whatever that site does an evaluation, they're evaluating it in a forward-thinking thing. Say this over a period of 3 to 5 years. This is how much even you watch Shark Tank, how they do an evaluation. They say, how do you evaluate your business to $1 million, right? Because you're asking for 10% equity of it, which would be $100,000. How do you evaluate that? They're evaluating it not the value that it's at so much, but as the potentiality for it based upon growth. That's how you do it.
That's actually really interesting. I would actually love to hear a little bit more from Conrad in the chat because they just said, I discovered and binged Non-Sequitur show over the holidays and caught up to the shit show just yesterday. I feel like hitting a brick wall with Kyle. That's actually really interesting that you actually just found the channel and binged it just over the holidays. I would love to hear a little bit more about what you have to say if you come in later on tonight at some point, or feel like send me a message or something somewhere because that's really, really interesting.
Put your email in there or whatever your contact is. So the amount owed to me, legit, straight up, just straight off the bat. As I said, Bullinator was a manager of the channel. He could tell you that the last number I saw was around $49,000 plus. It was about $50,000, and that was several months before I got removed. I wasn't paying that much attention, but last 6 months it made money too. So we're going to figure at the bare floor $50,000. Well, half of that to me is $25,000. Patron was about $1,000 a month for about a year, if not higher. So even at that's another $10,000 to be had. Half that's $5,000. So 25 plus 5 is $30,000. We're suing for treble damages because of the new North Carolina state statute. You can go look them up at your own convenience. I don't really care. At that point, I've given you the information. Go do it. But North Carolina's general statute says you can sue for treble damages. What's 30,000 times 3? Oh, wait, that's 90,000. How much are the court expenditures? They're going to be between probably $5,000 to $10,000. There you go. There's your $100,000 suit right there. And it's probably going to be more than that because we can sue for up to $25,000 per count. He was found liable on several counts if we choose to. However, that's something me and my lawyer have to kind of go over because that would be, it's a little bit difficult to try to justify probably $25,000 per count. But we could justify something. So the minimum amount we're suing for is around $100,000. It's not higher math. It's not that complicated. So anybody who doesn't understand the math, get with Bullinator because he's a math dude. So I don't understand why people are so confused about that. I've never been inconsistent because they're like, oh, you've had different numbers. You said this number, that number. No, what I said was $60,000 plus and then half of that is $30,000. So when I say $30,000, I'm talking about my half of that. Is anybody confused about that? I don't know why that's so confusing.
It's basic math. It's not even complex math. It is basic math.
Right. So 30,000 times 3 would be 90,000 that should be owed to me.
The real question is how many suits can you buy with that?
A lot of $12 blazers. Yeah. All right, so moving on here. It is understood that the Non-Sequitur Show has potential revenue streams, including but limited to advertising payouts, super chats, Streamlabs, merchandise sales, and even donations in several forms which are made by subscribers. It is apparent the Non-Sequitur Show has produced substantial earnings from all these methods, as well as the expenses of the channel are few and far between. Again, there were expenses. I don't know how much. I'm guessing probably less than 1,000. I don't think it could possibly be more than that, but. Being that the channel was not monetized until around July of 2018, which by the way, I have a record of. By the way, look at this. July of 2018. How much money do people think that there was prior to that, right? For this whole medical thing, for holding for tax reasons. We weren't even monetized till July of 2018. Yeah. When I was talking about medical, this was in 2017. Like legit in 2017. We were not monetized there. The only money we had coming in was a little bit from PayPal, I think. It wasn't anything of any significance. And so when people were saying, well, Steve was holding money for medical, no, what I was trying to do was figure out how it would affect my medical once we started making money, which really wasn't until 7 months later.
Out of curiosity, I'm a little bit curious. In Canada, depending on what province you're in, you don't have to claim until a certain amount.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get into the business structure that we had, and when I put on like Twitter how we were having it structured. People were stupid. They thought structured meant structuring. Very different concepts.
Oh God!
Right, business structure is I took accounting.
Oh my God!
I took 2 years of accounting, even though I dropped out second year. I took accounting, in order accounting 1. I was changed my thing to business for a while, so I understand business structure.
Every business has a structure.
Right, but
it has to.
In my head, though, you got to think how I think. To me, this was normal, right? This was business. Yeah, how we wanted to structure the business to do payouts, what's called a draw against your equity or against your assets. So you have an amount that you have, right? And you put all your assets in there, your depreciation cost, everything. I've done double book entries. Anybody who's in accounting knows double book entries for your balance report, balance statement. So to me, was trying to explain to people. If we set this up as a business structure, how do we do this for draws? And we were going to do $1,000 a month draw, which is perfectly fine, and then that money is taxed. Okay, that's how I would have set it up if I needed to, because again, the secondary. That's all it was. It's like I told Kyle, let's figure this out first, and you'll see all these emails. Let's figure this out. Make sure we don't screw up the taxes. That's it. That was the only thing why I was like, don't give me anything yet. We'll figure it out. Then Kyle changed that to, okay, well, let's just do it at the end of the year. Let's do it after the taxes, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's fine. I never said to him, don't pay me. That never happened. When Kyle said he had money saved away from me, I never saw it. When he said, well, how do you want to bring it to me? I was like, I don't care how you get it to me. And one time he said, well, if I have to, I'll bring your cash. I'm like, fine, bring me cash. I was like, I don't care how you get it to me. Just give me the money. He didn't. Yeah. He wouldn't pay me. He seriously would not pay me. And you can ask Bullinator, you can ask Reds. Why would I sue him if he was going to give me the money? That's just the dumbest narrative I've ever heard. I never said don't pay me. What I said was, how are you going to get paid? How do you want it structured? And by the way, structured is not the same as structuring. That's a Ken Hovind thing. right? This is, but see, at the time, I don't think,
CNN corrected me.
I
You
don't think
claim,
of the
but you
level of a
don't. Not all
dumbass.
of it goes to tax. Like it's like a tax
Yeah,
claim is a little bit different. A
but
tax number is different.
but you
Sorry,
notice,
I wasn't being very specific, and I apologize.
but you notice how they ran with that, like, oh, look at that, it's talking about structured. Well, yeah, it's business structure. Go look it up. But I didn't. At the time, I probably should be more hyper aware of how people are going to take things out of context. But
It's not possible because it's the amount that they twist it out of
right.
proportion is almost like they're predictable in that they're going to spin it and twist it out of context, but what they're particularly going to latch onto and what specific word they're going to try and use
Right.
is
They hear
arbitrary.
cash and they think, oh, under the table. They hear structure.
Yeah.
They think structuring, like Ken Hovind got busted for. This is their mindset because they're conspiratorial and they're just out to try to defame my integrity. That's it. They don't care about the facts because every one of them that was trying to talk about this case, none of them saw these emails. What are they? So do they really have complete data? No, of course they don't.
Well, that, and you could say hypothetically, if Steve meant this, then this could be this, this, and this. But they're not saying it as a hypothetical. They're saying Steve is doing this without enough information to draw one conclusion over the other. Same thing we had with that email.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They just fill in the blanks with narration. So, all right. So, being that channel, and I want to get this demand letter out to you guys because this is critical. Because by the way, Mr. Atheist did know about this demand letter. He still streamed to the channel. He didn't care.
Oh, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for any of them to.
They all knew about this. Yeah, they all
by
knew.
saying they didn't know about this because this was when this letter went out. It was incredibly public. Everybody in the community was talking about it at the time.
Yeah. So Mr. Atheist, College Engineer, Caitlin Chloe, and Katie Polson, who all streamed to the channel, knew about this demand letter, and they all knew that we were partners as well. You'll see. Being the channel was not monetized about July 2018, you asked Mr. McRae to patiently wait until April of 2019 to be paid so you can handle the channel's taxes. Again, I have this all in documentation. When Mr. McRae approached you on April 15, 2019 to inquire about the money he is owed, you mentioned that your, quote, accountant, quote, would contact him. No accountant ever contacted me nor anybody else. No name was given for his accountant. He had later on said he had nobody. When I had Katie Joy and Shannon Q say, well, there's money to be had there, you'll be paid. They were relying on Kyle's word, which we all know now meant nothing. And so when Shannon once asked me in a hangout, she said, well, doesn't Kyle have money stored for you away? I'm like, I have no idea. He says so, but I don't believe him. I mean, because where is it? Show me the books. Show me the financials. And I wrote, and I forgot to put it in the video description, but I will afterwards. I wrote open letter to Mr. Atheist and all in the community. I said, any one of you, go ask Kyle for the books. If you see them, if you see the financial records and there's money in an account there, tens of thousands of dollars, I will believe you if you give me your word. You don't even have to show them to me. Not one person took me up on my offer. Not one person. Now think about saving face. If Mr. Atheist would have said, hey, instead of just relying on faith of Kyle's word, I'm an evidence person. I'm a skeptic. I want to have some validation of this because I'm going on a limb by saying, Steve, you will be paid. Shannon Q said I was going to be paid. College Engineer said I was going to be paid. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Mr. Atheist said I was going to be paid. Other people, Chloe said I was going to be paid. And Katie Joy Paulson said I was going to be paid. They were relying on Kyle's word, right? But not one of them said, well, can you just show us that the money's there? So much for the skeptic community, right? And I wrote a letter saying that any one of them could, and I believe them.
Yeah. Keep in mind that this is a group that when the information came out that Kyle was lying to them, they took zero responsibility for any of the stuff they did, blamed everything on Kyle, and then refused and straight up said they refused to apologize to Steve for the claims that they made.
Yep, and we have all
and
that
the
as well.
And the community as well. They basically said the entirety of the non-sequitur community, or the non-sequitur show community, were trolls.
Yeah, they legit said that. They actually said that the non-sequitur community was trolls. They just forsaked all of them.
This is in their letter. I'm not saying they implied it. No, this is the wording they used in their letter. If you go watch one of the older Caffeine Corners, we read through the letters. So
this is the difference between me and Kyle. I respect the audience and the non-sequitur show fans enough to be transparent as possible. They didn't. They used the channel to help their channels. Like Mr. Atheist didn't even have a channel, pretty much. I mean, he didn't have that many. He used it as a foothold and then forsaked everybody and then lied to his audience about it. And so, anyways, When Mr. McRae approached you on April 15th, the required money he's owed, you mentioned the account. You refused to disclose the identity of this person, and in fact, this person never connected with Mr. McRae, nor with anybody else, not with Glenn either, who is my attorney. In fact, not my actual attorney. I have 2 attorneys in an actual law firm. After multiple other attempts to collect his share of the channel's proceeds, you informed him of your unlawful intent to retain the entirety of the earnings, and also stated you ran the show, which he did. He took over the show. On Tuesday 13th, 2019, you participated in a live broadcast, which was ultimately posted on YouTube as, quote, The Death of the Non-Sequitur Show, which is on my channel. Where your behavior clearly exhibited an intent to, quote, change the direction of the channel and to strip Mr. McRae of his partnership rights in the business operations. Again, was a business, was a partnership. I will show you this in these emails. He transferred the primary admin responsibilities based upon good faith belief that you could increase traffic in the channel. Instead, you misrepresented this fact in order to maintain sole control of the channel and force Mr. McRae out of the Non-Sequitur Show's affairs. Those misrepresentations constitute fraudulence and would not be tolerated. He was found liable for fraud, fraudulent conversion, unjust enrichment, breach of fiduciary duty, and breach of contract, and some other things. But those are primary, which, by the way, are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. He can't just write it off as a bankruptcy. Fraud and breach of fiduciary duty are not dischargeable. Also, even though you can't garnish wages in North Carolina, there are other ways to going about to collect. Furthermore, you have falsely accused Mr. McRae of tax evasion and insurance fraud, using this as your basis for not distributing his portions of the earnings. Mr. McRae's primary insurance derives from Veterans Affairs benefits and is not contingent upon income whatsoever. That's straight up true. Anybody who knows the military knows that. Your allegations are unfounded, and the dissemination of the same constitute defamation per se, a finding which carries the potential of treble damages, which we didn't include, but it had the potential of it. But the treble damages are based upon his withholding financial records from me, which is under general statute. Mr. McRae's medical affairs and insurance coverage are irrelevant to the business arrangements regarding the Non-Sequitur Show and will not be accepted on the basis for failure to distribute the money he is entitled to. And everybody has said this. Everybody has told him you cannot withhold monies because of whatever he thinks is some medical or insurance thing. That's all on me, which I told even from day one.
Well, imagine you're at any kind of workplace, any kind of business or workplace that says, oh, we're withholding money from our employee. If Steve was even an employee, is completely unacceptable. And
yeah,
he's
not
even an employee. Anybody who says that, oh, no, he because of a court case, because he can withhold the money, or because of no, he can't withhold any money.
Right.
That's not an acceptable thing.
And he had told Shannon I was more of an employee, I guess, from what I understand. And I'm like, no, I was not working for Kyle. I was not an employee. I was a full 50-50 partnership and a business agreement, which I will show in these emails. Therefore, on behalf of Mr. McRae, we demand the following. You submit to litigation hold, preserving all data related to this matter, including but not limited to existing videos, by or regarding the Non-Sequitur Show, financial documents pertaining to the Non-Sequitur Show financial status, and communications between you and any other persons regarding the Non-Sequitur Show or Mr. McRae. This is critical. I have all my communications. I have not deleted anything. He has full access to anything. I have absolutely nothing to hide. There's nothing incriminating whatsoever. If I was doing anything unethical or illegal, why isn't there any evidence of it? I have never told Kyle to do anything unethical, and you'll see in these emails quite the contrary. He never produced anything that I did that was unethical or illegal. Nothing. It was just him making stuff up by taking stuff that I was saying that was true out of context to try not to pay me. And some people believe that because they didn't care about the evidence. They only cared, oh, it's Kyle saying this. You refrained from posting videos on behalf of the Non-Sequitur Show. Number 2 here. There you go. This was our demand letter that right now you can see they ignored. Kyle ignored. Mr. Atheist ignored. Shannon Q was the only one that didn't go back on it, so good for her. Chloe ignored, and College Engineer ignored. He was on the Flat Earth stuff. They all ignored this demand letter. Now, I would like to know why. I still would like to know why. They thought to themselves, oh, you know what? Screw legal stuff. Kyle says this. Therefore, I'm going to believe Kyle. Where's the skepticism there? Where's the evidence? When every piece of evidence pointed contrary, they could have came to me. I would have showed them the emails that it was a partnership. You can't fire somebody partnership. You can't just dissolve a partnership. You can't say, hey, we're done. There are much more things to it. And what he tried to do was supposedly dissolve it, but just basically kick me out. You can't do that. You can't renegotiate unilaterally. And I was not just a paid employee. And by the way, the other co-hosts on the show, none of them were supposed to get paid. I have to find. I didn't find the email, but maybe I'll find it somewhere in here. I had specifically asked him, "Do these other people coming in? Did you promise them anything? Did you promise them any money out of the business?" He said, "No, they get nothing." And I think they would all. If I don't find that email, it's no big deal. You can ask any of them. None of them were promised to get paid, else they would have said something. So when somebody somebody's saying, well, I was a co-host on the channel, I never got paid. Well, yeah, you weren't a business partner. I was 50-50 with him. Okay, so immediate surrender of all records and notices pertaining to the non-sequitur show's income, expenses, taxes, or other financial status pursuant to North Carolina General Statute. I have not seen any of that yet. Nothing. Restitution amounting to 50% of the non-sequitur show net income and value, the monetary amount to be determined following by Mr. McRae's review of the aforementioned financial statements. I cannot know what I'm owed until I see those statements. Now, if he doesn't provide the statements, then we have to just kind of go by ear and say this is the amount we're asking for. He has three options at that point because he hasn't filed anything. He never showed up to produce anything or any records. In fact, if you look at the back here, you'll see here all the filings. None of these were by him. None of these filings were by him. He filed absolutely nothing. So, I mean, we can come up with a number, and then Kyle has three options. He can say, okay, that's fine. He can say, no, that's too high. Then he has to show the books to show why it's too high, or he can just ignore it and go to jail, because we will go after her criminally at that point, I think. So, and there's other things we're going to do. But this is considered fraud. This is considered to be financial conversion, which has criminal actions that if he doesn't do something, we have discussed filing criminal charges. Return of the administrative authority. By the way, if he does anything to the channel, that's automatically breach against the court's orders. That is criminal at that point, I believe. That is considered to be civil contempt of court. Return of the administrative authority to Mr. McRae of the Non-Sequitur YouTube channel as it was obtained by you in bad faith pursuant to fraudulence. Mr. McRae would like to settle this matter without having to take legal action, but is prepared to take those steps to obtain relief. He responded to this letter within the next 7 days, which he didn't respond to. His only response was putting something on, I believe it was one of my community tab. Is that what it was, Chess, if I remember correctly? He basically said something on the community tab like, no, I don't know.
He changed the community tab in the About page to essentially say, like, lump you in near the end with GE and his wife and probably and Katie.
Yeah. So I didn't want to take legal action unless I had to. Whenever he says that I was being the one that wasn't taking money or like that, that's wrong. You can ask Bull and Arrow Reds. He would not talk to me about the financials. He would not show us the financials. He would not give me a dime. There was none of this. Oh well, he offered to pay you. No, he didn't. One time we had settled on a $1,000 a month stipend to me, which would have been just fine. He didn't even follow through on that. But he never said, hey, here's your money. What it was after April 15th, on the 16th, I said, dude, have you talked to your accountant? What's going on here? Where's the money? I got bump kits from him. So, and we'll show you that. So, okay, so here we go. We're going to start showing the emails now. Now, again, this is a one-time off, but I think there's a higher ethical consideration to be had here, and my lawyer has already cleared it. So, these are all in chronological order for the most part. This is going back to December 7th, 2017. Kyle Curtis said, so what do we want to do about a channel? I figure we can make one out of the live non-sex show email address, and that way we can have access to all the content, reasons, but put a video and a main link to your channel, which was my primary channel, up so you can kind of go to the page for more info. I said we could either start a YouTube channel or use mine or the GDC channel until we have built a following. A new YouTube channel is going to have many subs, plus the audio is something... plus, if the audio is recorded for a podcast, that will need to be uploaded to a host site. So I was cutting all the podcasts. He had said that only like 5% of the work. I spent 2 hours a night doing the podcast.
Steve, we should probably clarify real quick. People are getting upset that we're saying that you're doxing somebody's email. Can you please tell us which email you're theoretically doxing? Is it the Non-Sequitur Show common one?
Yeah, I'm not doxing any email. Yeah.
This is the email that's being shown right now is the public Non-Sequitur Show email that Kyle was using.
Yeah. By the way, I don't hide Cannibal Fresh. I know he's. There's rumors out there, Cannibal Fresh, that you are not who I think you are. But I'm gonna give you benefit of the doubt, but there are rumors that you are not who you say you are. But nobody's being doxxed here. This is my email. I'm allowed to show it. My lawyer said it's just fine. And this is public. The emails are the email address is public information. By the way, this is Kyle Curtis.
Yeah.
Elizabeth has the email. This is my public email here.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, there's no private information that's being shown right now.
yeah. All right. So I say we can start a YouTube channel. This is my idea to start the YouTube channel. And by the way, if you look at the first 2 videos on that channel, it has all my information on it. My information, because I started that channel. It was my idea. Yeah. Anyway, so
It's in the URL.
yeah, live.
No,
Yeah, that's public.
yeah, it's live at
That's the public email that people use to contact us.
yeah, it's all public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
We just want to clarify for people. Yeah, there's the non-sequitur email that Kyle is using in these emails is
yeah.
apparently from before.
All right. So I don't want to get distracted by the live chat.
Oh, he's talking about your lawyer's email.
Well, that's
from
public
before.
too. That's public too.
Yeah, all these are public.
Yeah, my lawyer's not. That's public information. I don't. Yeah, that's fine. Well, my lawyer, by the way, he's going to another firm in 3 weeks, so all that's going to be invalid anyways. He just wants to finish up this case because he's been one of the best. He has been the best lawyer by far I've ever had. But
Kyle's email is public. I don't know how many times we have to tell you.
yeah, don't get distracted by the live chat. Count, I love you to death, but we're going to give you a timeout.
There's no doxing happening.
I don't want to deal with that. Oh, I'm sorry. Nat, Pat, I died about the friendly fire.
Oh no!
Man down. Sorry, Nate, Nat, Pat. Oh my goodness, please forgive me. But I don't want to get distracted, Cannibal Fresh. So I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to hide you out right now. But sorry about that, Nat, Pat. We love you. Wait 5 minutes, go pee or something. Get a coffee. I'm so sorry. You know what? It happens though. Anybody mods know it's not that hard to time out the wrong person.
Chat moves, so
yeah. So what I got is I got to close my window so I can I see the 3 dots in the name. But anyways, so this is established that I did recommend the YouTube channel, and I did start it. Okay. So moving on here. So he was talking about what I did for the channel. So I want to show you guys what I kind of did for the channel. Like, this is something. Let me download this quick. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it in here, but no. Never mind. I don't want to show. Okay, I don't want to show that one because I'm not going to use this. I'm actually going to use this for future things. But I made some stuff. I made some CGI stuff for the channel. Don't know why I would have that in there. Let's see here.
Was it a globe? Was your the CGI stuff you made a globe? Proof of the globe?
It was remember the one that you saw that I had with the crystal ball thing. It was that NS thing prior to that, so it was one of my first versions. But I was doing graphics before Kyle did. Kyle took over the graphics only because he got thousands of dollars worth of software. He got Adobe Premiere, or whatever it is, and After Effects. He got the high end stuff that people bought for him. That I believe the fans bought for him. Actually, I know the fans bought for him. But prior to that, I was doing the graphics. Matter of fact, the graphic, like with Res Rhetoric's logo and the fire burning on the trash can, I made that CGI. So, all right. So, this is me asking about the Teespring. I'm eventually planning to trademark the GDC logo. You know what? And I'm still probably going to, but I don't really care whether I trademark it or not. I'm not going to be doing anything with the GDC information, so it's really not a big deal to spend $500 to have a trademark. But I don't know. The merch was just included that as well as anything. So we just market the shit out of it. I know a lot who want GD shirts already. I would have bought one. I bought my own mug, and I paid full price for it. I didn't even get a sample, just so she can get her $1 commission. Not today, Satan. Thank you for joining the members. And I said, I've been waiting to actually find a partner before I launch merchandise, so this is quite fortuitous. And Kyle says, maybe there is a God, LOL. So this was me bringing Teespring to him. So in the video description, the Death of the Non-Sequitur show, there's a part where Kyle says, well, the Teespring's 100% mine. I did a lot of that. Well, no, I was bringing him the GDC stuff, and it was my idea to do Teespring. And then he decided to try to take 100% of it. All right, so I've substantiated that claim quite clearly that it was me that wanted to do the GDC shirts, and which was a Teespring, that he didn't know even what it was. Okay. Next email. this is again what we were working on. This is show that there was a partnership. We were going to do it very formal. This was our interview sheet. I'm so excited to look at our upcoming interview. Here's all the details. We were going to do this, pro forma. We were going to be doing it professionally as a business, right? So this is more evidence that it was supposed to be a business. However, there was reasons why we didn't follow through with the LLC, but it still was a business partnership. It's construed under North Carolina General Statute as an actual business enterprise. This is one that I wrote. My name is Steve McCrae, host of the new podcast. Would be thrilled to feature you as a guest. Again, this is just showing that we were a full partnership, and we'll get more into that. This is, but these are all dated, so these are in order. Dave, I said, send him $200 for food. Don't worry about me paying me back. Figure it out on the P&L report. Okay, P&L again is profit and loss report. Those are the books. YouTube's analytics is not the books. I don't know why so many people said, well, Steve had access to the channel, therefore he had access to the books. Because how would you know how much to get paid if he didn't have access to the books? Those are not the books. I don't know how inept people are in accounting, but a profit and loss report is what I would call more what the books. Income, expenditures. Because I had to know how much money was available, how much we spent, how much was the net income to be distributed properly. So far, so good? Okay. Again, one of my responsibilities, there's a whole bunch of these letters, but I just want to show you one. Thank you so much, Steve. I don't remember his last name. For joining us on the podcast. I actually sent things to everybody thanking them for coming on. So I was a person that arranged for the guests to come on and then thanked them for it. A big part of the show was getting guests. Initially, I did all the bookings for the most part. He got a handful, like Hans and some other people. But I brought Arn, I brought Kent Hovind. I was doing the bookings. That was my job as a partner, was to book. And this is why later on, when I was continually booking guests, and they were telling me, well, Kyle's not getting back to me, and Kyle admitted, well, no, I didn't get back to anybody that you booked because I'm changing the direction of the show. Well, news to me. I was busting my butt trying to get guests, and they weren't being responded to, and then you tell me you're changing the direction of the show, and then say, well, I'm not doing anything? I was up late at night trying to get guests. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that he tried to get away with that. Stupid Heart Energy became a follower. Thank you, Stupid Heart Energy. Love you.
As if you can just, in a 50-50 partnership, make the decision to change the direction of the show without telling anybody. Or if you're, let's hypothetical for a second. Let's say that Steve was an employee and part of his job was to get guests. You don't just ghost the guests he's getting if you're changing the direction. You inform him that you're changing the direction before he starts trying to book
Yeah, how
people.
disrespectful that is to the guest. I'm trying to get them on,
yes,
and
exactly.
I'm getting emailed. Bullinator even was brought in. It's like he didn't know what was going on. People are asking him questions. He's like, I don't know.
It's it makes
they
the
didn't
show
know whether they didn't. Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't know whether they were on or not. They're like, hey, we scheduled this discussion tonight. What's going on? I don't know. What's going on with Kyle? Because Kyle was supposed to give me the time and the dates. They actually give me when he wanted it, right? So I would find the guest. We would get the things, and then he would schedule it. But even Pooliner half the time didn't know whether somebody was on or not. So, all right. So this is where it gets more of a partnership, because I say this is back in December. This is 2017 still. We're still in 2017. Remember, guys, this is long before we had money coming in. That we like the monetization. That wasn't until July of 2018, give or take. So there wasn't a lot of money to be had, right? That's where the money is obviously the ad revenue, super chats, and all that stuff. That's where the bulk of the money. That's $50,000 plus dollars there. Let's promise if we ever have creative differences, we work them out. I want to go into this with a 50-50 partner, even though you're doing so much of the work on it. He was doing a lot of the intro graphics, right? And I was fully prepared to admit he was doing a lot of the intro graphics. I think you feel the same way, and that goes without saying. Says, my God, sounds like we're getting married, shit. And I just make a joke. My hall passes are Scarlett Johansson and Selena Gomez. And, he's like, just kidding. Ooh, I'm calling my lawyer. Oh, man, the wedding is off then. And we were just bantering around. But I made it very clear that I wanted a 50-50 partner. Okay? So, going further, this is something that, again, like something that I made. Again, I don't really want to show it, but I have made promo stuff. This is one of the things we made in promo that I did. So when he was saying, well, can you do graphics and other stuff? Yeah, I can do some stuff. So, all right. So this is one of the bigger ones. Under the brand account on the channel, I need you to make me an owner also, so I can go in and do what I need to do with SEO and all that. Let me know as soon as you do, because I have to go. I have the ready to go and the better SEO. Now we had talked about this. You can only have one primary owner of the channel. The rest are managers. And we had talked about this before, and so I gave him primary ownership of the channel because I thought that he was doing it for search engine optimization, as he said here.
Yeah, this is actually one of the narratives that was being run. One of the narratives was that Steve never actually owned the channel. Here is
Right.
Kyle asking for ownership of the channel. Therefore, why would he ask for ownership if he didn't have it? And how could Steve transfer it to Kyle if Kyle's the one who had ownership the whole time?
Exactly. And in a Discord, Kyle was flippantly going, well, really, Steve? Steve started the channel? Oh, Steve transferred to me? Oh, really? Well, why did he transfer it to me? Hello? I mean, this is what happens when people don't have access to the actual facts, like this, because I never released any of this stuff. And it was to my own detriment that I didn't release this stuff. But I have ethical considerations. I do live my life trying to be a very ethical person, and does bite me in the ass sometimes. Like, I could have shown this ages ago to back up what I said. But it's also in the court record. It actually is in the complaint. It even says in there that he wanted the channel for SEO reasons. Okay? Is this not confirmation of that? Because again, a lot of this was verbal, but here he is telling me give him owner for SEO reasons. Now he says an owner, but I mean, there's going to only be one owner. You're going to have one owner. The rest are managers. So I trusted him on that. By the way, I still don't know how any of that has to do with SEO. I don't think it does. Everybody I've talked to. Now, was I naive on that? Yeah, totally. But here's the thing. If I started this channel, I started the YouTube channel, that means all the ad revenue would have gone to me, right? I have to pay taxes on that too. That would have affected any medical that I had, right? I recognize this, right? I mean, I would have been having that income that had to be declared because Google says you're a 1099 form, right? So there was nothing to be anything under the table, anything that was
because we're at the channel again. When was the channel monetized?
July, give or take, June or July of 2018.
Okay, and these emails are currently from 2017 still. Correct. So far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there wasn't any monetization to be had here, but I think what happened was, he wanted everything. He wanted to have sole control. He did the same thing to the Twitter account. Notice the Twitter account was originally both him and I under the NonSequitur show, and he had his Kyle Curtis account. He then got rid of his Kyle Curtis account on Twitter and moved him over to the NonSequitur show, right? So the NonSequitur show Twitter account was all him. I think
100%, because I remember when that happened.
Yeah, so
he was using the art that I painted as the display.
Yep. So clear evidence that I wasn't lying about that. By the fact, I can tell you right now, anybody who thinks I lied, that's not somebody I've already blocked. Anybody, come into the after show, ask me, because I can care right now. I've lied about nothing. I've done nothing unethical, nothing. Everything that we talked about was to make sure that things were done legit. I wanted to make sure taxes were done properly, and I'll get into that here. So again, this is just an email that I wanted to show people like how I was interacting with people, like how I would ask them about having coming on the show and stuff like that. No big deal. But I wanted to make people aware that it wasn't me just sitting on my ass, right? And this is March of 2018, so I was the one corresponding with all the guests. I'm the one that booked all the guests. I'm the one that makes sure that what they wanted to talk about. That wasn't Kyle. Okay, so here I just want to say, like on this one, April 16th. This one's a little out of order. I'm not sure why, but paid $4,000 in taxes. Kind of sucks, well, 300 plus 100 e-filing due to stupid 1099 from Google. Because I tell you, anybody who's a subcontractor that knows about 1099, you pay a ton of taxes. Okay, 1099s are taxed hardcore. That is not an employee. That is a subcontractor. Okay. If I would have left the YouTube channel in my name, I would have gotten a Google 1099 form That's all showing taxable income. I have nothing to hide. I was fully prepared for that. My only thing to Kai was I was, and the same problem that I'm going to run into the future is I need to figure out a way to extricate that from my personal channel, which is doable, but it would have been a pain, but possible. But I was fully prepared for that. So why would I be hiding anything if I was fine with it being under my name, so I get all the revenue, and then we'd figure out the taxes and give Kyle his share? He seemed to be cool with that at the beginning because I started the channel, right? Okay, so this is Kyle sending me a DBA form. Okay, and again, what's the date on this? January 1st. Okay, so this is the beginning of the year in 2018, right? Just coming out of 2017. This is, and by the way, this is my address here. Go ahead, it's public. I don't care. This is his old address. It's already been released, so I'm not doxing anybody because this is he moved in with his boyfriend. This is all public record. I have this on a Google Drive. Other people have it on the Google Drive, so there's no doxing going on. Old address, and I've already heard that he already moved again. So I don't know, but these are old addresses. But these are public record. So fictitious business statement. If you check down here, he wanted it to be a general partnership. Okay, that's not an employee. Anybody who says that I was an employee, they're lying at this point. They were lying before because this has already been shown. This was a general 50% partnership. I'll stop for a minute. Does anybody have any questions on this real quick? On this DBA? Which, by the way, he said he filed. He didn't. And I'll show you those emails. Chesh, is just... Would you not say that this is a clear indication that we were going to go into it as a general partnership?
I would say besides this being clear as day, there was one comment that Kyle said in your emails back and forth, and it was handshake.
Yeah.
There's
he
no
also said
about whether or not this was a partnership.
he also
None.
says congrats, partner, in one of these emails coming up.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these exchanges we had with Kyle were verbal. They were in off-air hangouts. Right? Everything. Yes. So all the negotiations we're having, I cannot demonstrate those things, nor am I going to even pretend that I can. These are the limited amount of correspondence that we had on the topic. But here's the thing: if Kyle had any shred of evidence of malfeasance, of unethical things, or anything like that, why didn't he ever produce it? Because there was none.
We've got two questions from the chat. One is from an intrigued feline that asks, shouldn't the limited liability company be ticked off if he wanted to file for an LLC and not for a general partnership? And the other one is from OTP Lawyer, were any taxes paid by Kyle on his income?
Okay, first one, as far as I understand it, it's a limited liability corporation as a general partnership. Well, you know what? That's a good point. I don't know. A good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Checked also, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I can think of is we decided not to have a limited liability corporation only because we had no assets to speak of to try to shield. The main reason to have a limited liability corporation is if you get sued, they can't go after your personal assets. That's the main reason. So that's probably why it was just a general partnership. That's the only thing I can think of. Because we decided way back when the limited liability corporation was not really the way to go. He asked about it, and we had actually even discussed it with Dave McGinnis, I remember, or he did with Dave McGinnis. And then OPT Lawyer, who, by the way, we got to get you on the show, dude.
Yeah, your video was great.
Yeah, we got to get you on the show. Were any taxes paid by Kyle on the income? I have no idea.
You don't know?
Absolutely no clue. Which I mean, I think that he may have messed something up. This is why he doesn't release the books, so that he doesn't have the books, or he doesn't know what he's doing. But I do not have any information on that whatsoever. I paid my taxes on what I made, right? And by the way, if anybody doesn't believe me, I'm not going to give you my tax return only because it has my social and everything on it. But Bullinator and Ruhif both have a copy of my actual tax return. They will verify everything that I've said. All my taxes were paid. Nothing was under the table. I have never done anything like that. I wanted to make sure all taxes are done, and I will get into that.
Yeah, and there's also something to be said for it is questionable, and but however, even if there was an error, if there was a mistake being made, Kyle said he had an accountant.
Yeah,
So even if Kyle doesn't know what he was doing and made an
that's what I
error,
rely on.
has,
He called it his
he
tax
said
guy.
that he had an
He
accountant.
said accountant, tax guy, and CPA. I think you mentioned to me once,
Yep.
um, maybe more. Um, yeah, there are ways of always piercing the corporate veil. Like I said, I did take a little bit of law, tort law, OPT lawyer. One of the things we did go into was corporations, bankruptcies, tort, and piercing that corporate veil. There is a ways of doing that in cases of malfeasance, but we weren't going to be worried about that. But we didn't really need the LLC. And by the way, I love the OPT lawyer has been weighing in on a lot of this stuff, and it's
Yep.
weird how he's a lawyer and yet he's gotten everything right. And some other lawyers
Hmm.
don't.
Hmm. There's also one other question from Helios, and they're asking if a general partnership is different from a full partnership.
I don't see a difference. I don't know.
Yeah,
An
I don't
OPT
know.
lawyer might be honest with the question, but no, I mean, general partnership is a full partnership. You have equal stakes.
If he actually had an accountant. Yeah, no, we're saying he said he had an accountant.
Yeah, he said he had an account.
He claimed that he had one.
Yeah. All right, so this is March 6, 2019, because I wanted to get some information on what's going on. So I said, have you heard back from Tax Guy? That's what he called him. He said, supposed to be the 22nd of this month, he said. Well, he didn't have Tax Guy, so I don't know whom he's referring to. That way, if there's any change or discrepancies, there'll be enough time to send them out by tax day. Okay, I need to do mine too. Kyle says, better not play with that shit. IRS will fuck up some people. I say, quote, I always get them done. I fucked up 10 plus years ago on state once. Was horrifying. Never again. And this was only a few $100. They got their money. Okay? And I'm like, they will murder you for their money. Kyle says a friend of mine got audited last year. He got hit with $465,000 of fine. Right there, I made it very clear. I wanted to make sure all taxes were done properly because I messed up on taxes once. And this is why I've been so much of a pendant on all this, is because I screwed up on taxes one time on state for a few $100. Oh my God, will they get their money? Okay? So all this time, it was me making sure that I wanted to make sure the taxes were done right. That's why I said don't distribute anything until we know what the hell we're doing. Because I want to have the books done. I want to make sure the taxes were properly. All that was me. Okay, so when it came to the medical, I wanted to review it to make sure how it would change my secondary. I was like, if I just pay it all at once, it's probably going to change my secondary, which I didn't want to do. So I said, okay, well, if we do it as a business partnership, then we'll draw against the business as a draw, right? You take a stipend. It's literally called a draw, but that was at $1,000 a month, which, by the way, would have put me over anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But that's how you do it. That's how you do a proper business. That's how you get paid in a partnership. You take it as a draw. Until then, the money's left into the account, and it's not taxed. It's not taxed or done anything until you take it out. That's when you have to report it. Anybody who knows accounting, I'm pretty sure you're going to validate that. That is my understanding. That's how I learned in business accounting that I took. This is how I'm pretty sure ubiquitous across the board. But I still wanted to make sure we were doing it right. Super chat, Kawasa. We always stop with super chats, though.
Yeah, Kawaka was asking, would it be accurate to say Kyle started lying on stuff long before actual tensions and split?
Oh, well, in history, yeah, looking back in hindsight. Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're looking back at this information, Kyle was saying stuff and asking for stuff long before the channel was even monetized at this point.
Yeah.
For things that are demonstrated, as far as we know, to not have been reasonable, or like that's not the reason why you would want this thing.
And I even said I had to pay $400 in taxes. I paid my taxes. And this is very clear. I always get them done. Fucked up 10 years ago, never again. Kyle and I both agreed upon that. We wanted to make sure the taxes were done right. And he's like, oh, you know what? My accounting guy has all that covered. He's like, we'll be fine. So if there was any intent to hide anything, where is it? There's no communication like that ever to anyone at any time to hide anything. It was actually the opposite. I wanted to make sure everything was done properly and across the board right, so I didn't get screwed by the government by taxes, because I know how vicious they can be. And like I said, one time over 10 years ago on state.
Yeah, it is definitely not a case of something suddenly went bad. It was definitely they asked for the tax information
March
months
6th.
and months before anything actually exploded. There was a long time where both Boole and Steve were trying to talk to Kyle to work this out to
Yes.
figure out what was going on. It wasn't until Kyle straight up refused and told Steve and Reds and Boole to make it public then
Yep.
and take it to the court of public opinion. They said okay, and they did.
Yep, exactly what happened. And the reason he said that was because he had been listening to a few people on Twitter. I remember again, Shannon came in and started talking to Reds in a hangout and going, well, there's a lot of people that you don't like Steve. They won't go on the show because of you. I'm like, so it's a lot of people that won't go on the show because college engineers on there. Won't be a lot of people go on because they don't like whatever. Who cares? That we don't run the show who likes and doesn't like somebody. That's never how it was. We still had guests. The few people that didn't like me, I didn't give a crap about. I still don't. I don't run my channels based upon other people liking me or not. These were not my friends. It made no difference. But Kyle, these were his friends, like College Engineer and Kate and Cohen, who didn't like me. So he was the one that brought them on as co-host. By the way, it wasn't my decision, nor was I confirmed about it. All I asked him, which again, I somewhere in the emails I have, but I make it very clear. Are you going to pay them anything? Did they ask for anything? He's like, no. Okay, so. Okay, I got something here. By the way, message is real show here, so be careful what you send me. But for the time being, until I figure out how the hell to handle this mess, if Steve asks, tell him your access went back to, and that all this is about Bullinator, by the way. Your access went back to, and all you know is that I'm reconfiguring all the co-host schedules, and that's all you know. So he needs to ask me. This is Kyle asked. He was asking Bullinator to lie. Yeah.
To lie. And if you notice real quick, that's some lovely art he's got going on there.
Gorgeous,
I did that.
Yeah, she does art.
I do an art.
Yeah. So
I do like the irony that it kind of, the way I styled it and designed it to look like a Grand Theft Auto character.
Yeah. So as you can tell, that I want to make sure it's done. And Kyle legit asked him to lie about the SEO stuff, because the first time he removed me, he said he was upgrading something, and I said, well, Bull, why aren't you removed then? Right? If he's upgrading something and he needed to remove me, which made no sense, why are you still a manager? Bullinator's like, I don't know. So Bullinator confronted Kyle on it. Kyle then removed his access temporarily, I believe. He removed his access, and then he got his access back because he had to run the show. And I'm like, Bullinator, how'd you get your access back and not mine? This is Kyle asking him to lie about why I haven't got my access back. Any questions on that? Good. Bullinator's in the chat for that, but straight up he asked Bull and lie. All right, so moving on. This is going to be a longer one, and this is kind of a crux of something. This goes back to March 28th, 2018. So like I said, a little out of order, but he was upset about something that he arranged with S.J. Thomason. And S.J. Thomason, I guess, had to change or cancel or something. But I thought Kyle arranged all that. He wasn't communicating with me very well at the time. Bullinator has also said he didn't communicate with us very well. So I as far as I know, everything was good to go. I was the one that got the guest. I was the one that arranged for everything. Then he would book the time and date. Right? That's kind of how it worked. So I was like, hey, did SJ tell you? I said, I got a message on Twitter in the middle of the night. All I did was say no worries because she had to cancel. Why would I not assume her and you worked it out? Because she does all the scheduling with him. I'm not going to try to make more of the, you see the error in that. If you don't, then it's not my problem. You were supposed to get back to me the other day. You never did. Maybe it would have came up then. He never got back to me. His communication sucked. What error? She said she could not make it, then told Shannon she was postponing it. There was no error. Oh, so it's my fault I didn't get back to you, huh? Yeah, it was. All right, let's play that angle. Did I lay blame?
Yeah, who's responsible for their own actions? If you
Kyle.
don't get back to somebody, that's on the person who didn't get back to somebody. That's not on the person you're supposed to be getting back to. How are they supposed to control whether or not you contact them? That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. Want to know why I didn't get back to you? Remember Saturday night? It was in the middle of the night, and the only thing that SJ did wrong this whole scenario is assume that the two of us can communicate. Because he doesn't communicate. He just literally said, want to know why I didn't get back to you? And then he says, well, we can't communicate because you didn't get back to me. You didn't contact the guest. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. By me finding it, arranging it, you getting the date and time, and then having to pull Bullinator in, so they have to go to us or me or Bullinator and go, are we on tonight? Are we doing this tonight? Are we doing that? I mean, when we say he wasn't communicating, he wasn't communicating. I hate to inform you, but that's all to being close to being all. SJ scheduled through you. I did not even know about it until after I read her tweet. Steve, now you're just telling untruths. No, it's not an untruth. He did the scheduling. You did not even bother to tell me she was on. Remember our convo after the UFO guy? We talked about the entire SJ thing and how it would play out. I didn't. You did not give me a time or date, nor did I put it on calendar, which was his job to do, was put it on time and date. Yeah. If you did, I didn't see it or remember. We had a Google Calendar, by the way. Hold up, check your local and see where it cut off, and blah blah blah. This is so you can scroll through this. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's there for you to read. And I'm like, you're still butthurt about what was that? Oh yeah. Oh, this is kind of important. And I get a time confirmation? No, I saw a tweet I was tagged in. Then a little while later, tweeting she can't make it. She didn't specifically go through me on any of that. Well, that's because I didn't get a Hangout link. Oh my God, you're still butthurt about that. This is a Hangout that I had that he didn't get a direct link to, and he was pissy about it. No joke. I was like, you're still butthurt that you didn't get it. I didn't send you the direct link. You could have reminded me. If I remember correctly, I just spaced it off. But he could have messaged me like anybody else does. Says, hey, can I get the link? How hard is that? But no, he decided to have a tissy fit about it. This is the real Kyle Curtis, by the way. This is how he was the entire time of the show. A very, very emotionally driven, very petty, very egocentric, very narcissistic. It was all about him from the very get-go. This is going back in March 2018. We have a super chat.
Sorry, I've been muting on and off because the dog was chewing on his toys really loud. WizBiz for 5 says it was the most ridiculous thing when the justification for Kyle booting Steve was a series of individuals didn't like him. Laughing emojis.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the show. We had contrast. Of course, I know people didn't like me, but what? Okay. Hashtag what about Bull?
Mm-hmm.
What was the excuse for booting Bull?
Yep.
And then asking him to lie about it. This is, has anybody out there, any of you people, have I ever asked you to lie about anything? Any one of you? Please let me know. Chesh, how often do I say, hey, please lie for me? And she would too, probably. She has flexible morals. But, it never happened. Chesh, Reg, Nick, they all have known all about this stuff. I've never asked a single one of them to do anything. Matter of fact,
legitimately, when Mr. Atheist was trying to call Steve a transphobe, went digging to find the thing that Mr. Atheist was talking about because he wouldn't provide the links to it for whatever reason. I went digging, found it, went through it, and said, this doesn't look like it's saying what you're saying it is. He lashed out at me. I was like, what the hell, bro? I'm the one who went and found your information for you. Can you I'm asking you to clarify. And then he's like, oh, and I'm probably sure about that he was continuing to misgender in the comments. I went and looked through all of the comments, found a comment that I then clicked, like I snipped the comment, only Steve's comment, links to it for whatever reason, where he said, oh, careful, you're misgendering somebody, and in response to somebody else, but I clipped all that out. I legitimately clipped the context out purposefully and posted that and said, what do you mean? Here's Steve correcting somebody. I set Steve up that he could have just ran with that. What did Steve do? Steve was like, actually, I was probably being a little bit sarcastic in that comment if you look at the whole thing.
I don't want anybody misrepresenting anything.
I essentially did this all on purpose to test Steve a little bit on my own.
Oh, you bitch.
But also to make a point, to be like, he's either going to be incredibly honest about this, or Mr. Atheist doesn't know what he was talking about.
And I always do the honest route. That's why nobody's ever caught me in a lie. Anybody who's ever said I lie, please ask them what I lied about. Give me specific details. Not just, oh, we said this and then this, which is contradictory, when they're talking about two different things, about holding money, not holding money. I was talking about vastly different things, right? At the very beginning, there was some payouts to PayPal, from what I understand. Again, not even triple digits. We're talking tens of 20s of dollars. That's what I said. Hold off paying me. Just don't do anything until we know what's going on. Making sure we have the business structured correctly, how we have the payouts done. That's the reason for that. I never asked him to say, "Hey, please hold money so I for my medical," because I just wanted to know how it would affect my medical. I wanted to know exactly what I was getting myself into, and if it was worth going instead of 15 minutes away, 4 hours away. And we'll get into that here. And by the way, I think we missed a super chat. Ink Boy, £5. I'm sorry, got you, Ink Boy. £5. Seth Andrews, Christianity made me talk like an idiot. Kyle, money made me act like an idiot. Oh, okay, I get it. Seth Andrews said Christianity made me talk like an idiot. Kyle's quote, fictitious quote. Money made me act like an idiot. You know what, Ink? I got to be honest with you, like I always am. This is my personal opinion. I don't think it was money that motivated Kyle. I think it was ego. I think it was arrogance, and I think it was his own narcissism.
I think there's something to be said about it, actually. I think I kind of agree with you to at least in the part about the money, because the money has he was pulling this shit before the channel was monetized.
Which means more to me, it goes to ego because there was no money to really
It
care.
implies something. Did we get a
yeah, Kawasa for 5,000 said, "How dare you not? How dare he not get paid? That's evil. Bearded little testicle with glasses and beanie." That was that the last super chat.
I think that's all of them. I had Kino asking if one of them could be read. I think we got all of them. So if I missed one, Kino, please just tag me and let me know which one I missed or which one we missed, and I'll see if we can go back and get it.
All right. So, so he was butthurt about that link. It really pissed him off bad. I'm like, that's pretty petty. I was like, I gave you the link last night. You didn't join. You're about to, though. That's pretty petty. This again, March 28th. That's classic. I frantically was trying to get things ready. 30 minutes earlier than intended. I had in my mind sending you the link at 8, and then they said, let's just start early. Interesting. So I went live, and it slipped my mind that I not planned on 7:30. I planned on 8, and sending you the link then. I said we could start a little early, but figured figured like 10 minutes early, not 30. There was nothing personal here, and I apologized. So how did 7 others get the link? I'm like, what? 7. Casey gave me the link to midnight. I gave it to Shannon and Frank. There was 5 other people in the hangout, not 7. Apologies don't mean shit to me. I watch what people do. This is how petty he is. How often do I even apologize to people? Not very often, because I've learned over the years people take it wrongly. And I know in Canada, it's not an admission of guilt. In the States here in retail, you never apologize for like it was an accident. You never say you're sorry, because it can be construed by the courts as an admission of guilt. Anybody who's been in retail knows this. But in Canada, they actually make sure of that is not an admission of guilt, because they say sorry to everybody. So
yeah, in Canada, it's actually there was an amendment made to one of our laws that said if you apologize, it's not an admission of guilt.
Right. So I don't apologize very often because that's my retail experience, right? But if I think that I've slighted somebody, I do apologize. It does happen. But he didn't care, right? He's like, apologies don't mean shit to him.
As a Canadian, I usually find that if somebody tries to take an apology and weaponize it as if it was an admission of guilt, like just makes that assumption or tries to frame it that way, I think that's kind of crummy behavior, because that's not a thing here. Like you can't, like if somebody tries to do that in Canada, we're all just like, oh, sorry you think that, I guess.
Can't say you're sorry down here. And so he said, how does Shannon and Frank get the link? Not too frantic for them. I'm like, I gave it to them. Dude, you barely joined me on my channel. You know, he barely came on when I did my after shows. And I totally slipped my mind, which I apologize for again a lot. What the F do you want me to do? This is why you're butthurt. You didn't get a link and you asked for it and I gave it. I'm just trying to understand the logic, since you're so into logic. That Hangout was a show about you and I, a host. As such, you made it sure. God, I have a hard time reading this. The Hangout was a show you and I host, and as such, if it were me, you'd be the first person I made sure was in and good to go. It had absolutely nothing to do with frequency of the time at which I joined your channel. 0. It was about the entire conversation about... No, actually, it does do with the frequency. He barely came to the after shows. He'd go get high or drunk first, and then come in, right? So, I mean, whatever his thing was, it slipped my mind, and I apologized for. I mean, like, legit, I even say I apologize for. So, me butthurt, that's calling the kettle black. I was like, Casey sent a message to me saying he wanted to give a signs of... This was Caitlin. This was not Caitlin Chloe. This was KC, by the way, I believe, of King Crocoduck. How am I butthurt about what? Well, there's a whole lot of dancing around the issue. I'm like, where am I confusing him? I sent people the link for the after show. Slipped my mind to give it to him because we started a half hour early. Once I recognized my mistake, I sent him the link, and he's butthurt about that. That to me is very petty. Whatever.
People forget to send me links all the time, and then I just harass them in the chat because it's funny. Like, there's been a couple of times where there's been a hangout that I'm supposed to show up at on, like, Red's Rhetoric's channel, and it's like 82, Sean, and Reds are already in there, and I'm like, yo, what the hell? What's the sausage fest? Let me in.
I'm telling you straight up what the fuck happened. Am I dancing? Are you high? I don't know if he was at the time. Back then he admitted he was getting stoned a lot. You're harping on Ben, saying he didn't know you.
That wasn't a derogatory statement. You asking if he was high. You were
I was legit at the time.
Sometimes he was. Yeah, it's like asking somebody, are you drunk? When you think they might actually be drunk.
I don't remember this date specifically, obviously, because it was so long ago, but there was a potentiality of being high. So I could have been, I think I was probably being serious rather than hyperbolic, but there's always that chance.
It's possible, but not likely.
That was funny, not butthurt. You think I care what Ben thinks? But here's the important stuff. Let me go down a little bit. So this is just a preliminary of why he was having issues. Here, I didn't say it was equal. You add to the creative side, but I bring in the guests and carry the show just as much as you do. Almost all the people watch live I know. I bring them in. This is March 28th. And he's contesting that. I list some of the people that I brought in. Again, not a big thing. I want to get to the meat of this, which is, I said you arranged the times. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. There's an important part down here that I want to get to.
Yep. But yeah, I only do that and go give them a hard time because it's funny, not because I actually, like, if they don't want me there, they don't have to send me the link.
And I was very clear. I'm like, I'm not into petty games. We have a good thing. If you want your ego to get in the way of all that, it's your deal, not mine. Again, March 28, 2018. He has a lot of ego. All this has been about your ego and a link. But he wants to. He starts wanting to talk about dissolving the partnership kind of thing, and that's what I'm trying to get down here. This is a big form. So I'm just going to scroll down here. I know what part I'm looking for.
You'll get there. I believe in you.
Yeah, you could read this. You can go back at the video and read it. This is all. I'm not spend an hour going through this, but
yeah,
this is a long thing. I know what part I'm looking for. It's just toward the end. I should just do a search.
Oh, apparently we've got a few of Uni's buddies watching us. Hi, guys. They're screenshotting all this, so maybe they'll actually get it correct. Good luck.
They won't. By the way, I'm like, their opinions matter. They are the viewers. To me, the viewers mattered to me. I can tell you right now, and Bull probably confirm, he didn't care about the viewers. He didn't care about the opinions.
Well, I mean, he said as much.
Yeah.
He said as much if you watch The Death of the Non-Sequitur.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He only cared if they agreed with him.
Yep.
If he cared about the Non Sequitur show itself, and if he cared about the fans, then what he would have done when he realized everything, because he did realize that things were not working and weren't going to work, that they were going to be that he was shutting down the channel. That's when he should have just earnestly passed it to Steve. Yeah. Should have just said, listen, this isn't working, this isn't what I wanted, and out of respect for you guys and for the show, I'm just going to give it back to Steve, and we'll sort out whatever legal issues outside of that. And then, that's what he should have done if he cared about the show. I agree.
And then he gets upset about the Hoven R & Raw event, which boggled my mind, because that was one of our best events. It's our all-time highest video. And I say, feel better. You and Hovenites are the only ones who have issues with the R & Raw Hoven discussion. I would not have changed a thing. I thought it went out spectacularly. He still complained about it.
Helios for 5 says Kyle could have just asked for the link and assume a mistake was made and act like an adult instead of immediately going on the attack like an angsty.
Right. Like, for example, like Reds is like one of my besties, right? I love Reds, right? I don't give him the link to a lot of hangouts only because he doesn't show and he doesn't come to a lot of them. But if all he has to do is like link, he gets the link, right? Yeah. But I have a lot of people that I don't send links to. It doesn't mean jack. It just means that I can't. I was trying to do that mailing list, but if you don't get an initial link from me, it's not like I'm trying to exclude you. It's just that I'm trying to do other things, and I can't send it to everybody.
Yeah, well, there's a limit to the number of people. Depends on the topic. Depends on what's going on, and depends on whether or not. Sometimes things just you forget about things.
And I also said that the R and Raw Hovind debate led to an after show that people loved and still talk about, which is one of the, I think, the funniest hangout of all time. Go watch Pine Trees and Elephants with R
Pine
and
trees
Raw.
and
Oh my
elephants.
God,
That's a good one.
GCat. That's where GCat was born. Funniest thing in the world.
They were
Um,
talking about GCat all over on Dead Kennedys today, like a couple of hours ago, on Dead Kennedy and Spaces
yeah,
channel.
and I'm like, people enjoyed it. That's the goal. He's like, well, that's then there's our line. And I'm like, my goal is to entertain and want people to be entertained and enjoy the content. That has always been my goal. March 28th, 2018. That has been my mission statement always for my channel. It's not for views. It is not for subs. It is not for money. It is to entertain and have people watch and enjoy the conversations. That's what I've always been about. Always. And if people want to donate to it, I'm thrilled to death. But I don't sit there and go, PayPal me. Please send PayPal. No. I'm like, hey, if you want to become a member, I know things are tight. If you want to be a patron, I'm thrilled to death. I think every one of my patrons, they all have access to me because I value every single one of them, and they will tell you this. Every single one of my patrons or members or the people who have contacted me, I listen to them. I value them. He didn't. It was all about the numbers with him, all about the money. People donate and stuff. I'm like, well, people are going to donate one way or another. If we lose a little bit on it, who cares? I'm like, whatever. I'm more about putting out a good content. And if I lose subs or lose money, which I have, by the way, I've lost a couple hundred subs. I also lost, a third of my Patreon. But you know what? I'm still doing what I want to do. I still do what I want to do. Because my goal is just to put something out there.
And sometimes Patreons are going to leave, and sometimes Patreons do things that are unacceptable. There are people that have been like booted out of the community because even though they are Patreons, because their behavior has been completely deplorable or unacceptable. And so, because we're not going to just take your money and do whatever you want, you can't pay us to be an asshole to us.
Right.
So we're not going to let you take advantage of it like that.
And this is one of the things that they tried to pull against me when I had a $50 Patreon that I yelled at. When that what they didn't show was. And by that video, I sent to a lot of people. One of my mods released it. He wasn't supposed to. No big deal, but it's okay. But that Patreon, what people didn't know about is he was actually harassing my friends, like absolutely harassing them. And he thought it would give me instant access to him to promote his channel, which I disagreed with. He was also leaving multiple comments on my webpage, and I told him stop spamming me and stop harassing my friends. He did videos with one or two of them. He Frankenstein cut them, took them out of context. I wanted nothing to do with the guy, and I will not be bought. So this is why I was yelling at him, going, you can take your money and shove it. I'm not. It's been like, well, oh my God, look at the way Steve's treating a Patreon. Yeah, I don't care if you're a Patreon or not, if you're going to be somebody that duplicitous and harass my good friends. I'm not going to play that game. And anybody who does, they're the people that are doing it just for the money, right? But I will never play that game. So he says, I can't stay stagnant, won't stay stagnant. The common theme with you all night is there's nothing wrong, and especially not my actions. I think this is good. It happened early on. I said, you don't have to be, you're a cooking show soon, and you get to run that the way, any way you want with Frankie. And he's like, I'm running this the way I want. Again, March 28th, 2018. This is the beginning of all this. Okay? This is not something that just happened later on. This goes back quite a while. Which of course a lot of people were not aware of, except for who? Oh wait, who? Reds, myself, Bullinator, people that actually were involved. Right? Yeah. What's wrong with you is that you are overanalyzing, you don't see it. Here we go. This is the good part. You signed that business contract before we started, remember? That I emailed you.
Yep.
That's very clear, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You should read it. I said, NS is doing fine. What are you talking about? The business license I needed your address and approval for, which is that fictitious DBA business statement, which I never got in the mail. Should we chat real quick?
Morton Nielsen for DKK 45 is, I'm a Patreon. I can confirm what Steve said. He does what he says. Never made it to Patreon Hangout though, but I had the link.
I respond. I think I respond to everybody who messages me on Patreon, or especially everybody who joins. I thank them, but I do keep as much possible information to them as possible. Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. Which I never got in the mail. I emailed you the copy. which you never mailed me on. He told me he was going to send it snail mail. That's why he wanted my address. He's like, I have to send you the paperwork to sign if this is what we decide to do, and do a DBA or an
Yeah,
LLC.
a legal document in those kinds of legal documents, you have to have a physical
Right.
signature. You can't do an email signature. Does
Right.
that you?
Right. And that's why he said he was going to send it snail mail. That's up to the license place. I didn't mail you that. I didn't even say snail mail. I just got an email on it. I never signed anything. What are you even talking about? I have screenshots of you getting your address and approval before I filed it. You didn't actually sign it. Well, wait a minute here. Up here he said that the you signed that business contract. Huh? Well, I'm like, what? He says, you didn't actually sign it. I'm just saying I like to keep it saying partnership agreement. Partnership. Partnership. Not employee. Partnership. You filed the LLC. You said you were not going to send me the. You said you were going to send me the documents to look over that then file, because I wanted again to look over the documents, check them out, snail mail, look at how it affected my secondary medical, and see if it was worth it. That's it. This is when I said initially, hold off anything, hold off, send me a dime until we find out all this information. That's to what I was referring to. And then when I said, well, he wasn't holding anything for me, then I was talking about him holding something to defraud the government or to do something for tax evasion or whatever that he was accusing me of. Two different contexts, right?
Yeah.
Again, I have the conversation. If you want it, I take all precautions. I had to file it for tax reasons. Well, where's the filing? By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but later on in the Discord, he said he never filed anything.
Correct.
Okay. So, which I explained. You never mailed me anything to sign and mail back. I don't do that. And I honestly don't know where you're going with this. Take a few, get over your headache, and drop it down a notch or two, as I don't like where this is heading. Get back to me when you're feeling better. Same thing that I told him in the Death of the Non-Sequitur show. Take some time away. Think things out. Because I know how irrational he could be. Going back again, March 28th, 2018.
Yeah, this is not, again,
I know how he operates.
In some circumstances, these would be considered derogatory terms or inflammatory, like I'm dismissing you. This is not what Steve is doing. This is actually, because this is a conversation between people who are at this point in time still friends. He is being legitimately concerned for Kyle.
Yeah. He says,
this isn't a random interaction on Twitter and should not be viewed as such.
Yeah, and by the way, Kyle would call me at 3 o'clock in the morning crying his eyes out after a pretty hard night, I guess, and and dealing with emotional things with his boyfriends and things of that nature. I was the one he talked to, right? So I tried to be there as a friend to him. Where this is heading is we can't come to some kind of middle ground where you move and I move not just one but the other, willing to adjust some things, and then we have to adjust. Then we have to just part ways and see how our ideas stand on their own. You should think about dropping a few notches as well. What do you mean? I was like telling the guy, look, I apologize for it. What are you talking about? I didn't sign anything. I'm asking questions, right? What do you want me to adjust exactly? I am still very unclear how you registered an LLC in my name with just address info when I didn't sign anything. I thought you were pending, waiting on you, sending me documents to sign. That's why you asked me for my address, so you can mail them to me. Your communication with me and sense of urgency when it comes to planning these shows, we are on practically zero. I'm like, this is not answering the question. But he's like, when I get home, I'll send you the convo. I explained for Raves when we started getting revenue if we needed one, and explicitly asked you, do you want to come as a partner and set up all in my name? The convo ends with me saying, congrats, partner. Partner. I mean, have we not established by now this was a partnership? I'll send it from my computer when I'm done. I said, I plan on sending you things left and right. I make many of the arrangements too. I still thought it was pending, which is why you asked me for address. You said it would mail me to me if I recall. It's dissolvable anytime, so if you want to be taken off of it, no problem. I can do that in 40 hours. Okay. Clearly, he is indicating to me that he filed something.
Yeah. That's what he said.
And then my name's on it as a partnership.
This. Yeah.
Which kind of took me back because I'm like, I didn't sign anything. What are you talking about? It would have been a big deal, but it's the fact that he's saying something that wasn't true. Okay, not even sure how it's possible to start a business without physically signing papers. Go online to the DOR site. I'm not sure what that was. I don't remember, but it's no issue to me. Like I said, I can solve your part anytime. I can handle that as well. Like I said, wait until your headache is gone and this is taking a turn. I'm being diplomatic as possible. Doesn't offend me if you want out of the agreement, not saying out of the show, just the paperwork. I don't even know what the agreement is. I had no idea the LLC went through. I thought it was pending, waiting for physical papers to look over. This is why I say many times, I want to look over the paperwork. Before you do anything, before you send me a dime, let me look over the paperwork. If I was trying to get you, I would just file it in my name alone. It does me no benefit to file an LLC with a partner. I swear I thought you wanted my address to physically mail me paperwork to look over. I thought you even said something about that arriving in a few days, which he did. He says he's going to mail me the paperwork, so they'll be there in a few days. To the best of my recollection, that's exactly what happened. Look out for the email. Just a misunderstanding. No worries. I am only finding the document you sent so far. Still looking. Did you not read it, Steve? Not sure what you want, as NonSequitur is working right now, and you seem not to be happy about it. I looked over it, but did not sign anything. Please tell me you do not sign things without reading them. What did I sign? Figuratively. Figuratively, he said I signed them. I had told people about this and they didn't believe me.
It sounds to me like he's trying to essentially get you to admit to signing something that you didn't sign, so he has an excuse to have your name on something that he already put your name onto without your consent.
Something. Quite possible. I was like, there's nothing to sign. There's no PDF, no physical documents, but he was like, figuratively. And then this again is what he emailed me, right? Kyle Curtis, NonSequitur Media, but he didn't send me the document to actually sign. And this is, by the way, this is not the LLC. This is the DBA, but I use them interchangeably. They're two different things. But when I talk about the LLC, I kind of was talking about the DBA. My fault. But he didn't make it very clear what he filed. He was like, I filed the LLC for tax purposes. I sent you the paperwork. I didn't get any paperwork. Then he said, well, you signed it figuratively, right? So
you literally figuratively signed it.
One sec. That one thing. All right. Where am I at here? Why am I not there?
You guys can definitely see why we decided to do this not during Rum and Coke.
Yeah, it was taking too long. I got two OBSs running here, so I'm trying to... Nope. There we go. All right, so I stopped screen sharing because there's nothing else to be seen. Yeah, this was taking forever during a Rum and Coke, right? But anyways, I wanted to back up that... he did say I figuratively signed something. I did say, hey, put it on the P&L report, which I expected there would be a P&L report, which is the books. Never asked him to hold him anything for financial reasons, as far as like to do anything unethical, immoral, or for medical. I only wanted to look it over to see how it affected. I was like, if you pay me in a lump sum, it'll affect my secondary medical. So let's see about taking it out as a draw if we're going to do it a business that way. Perfectly fine to do it that way. Nothing. That's how businesses are done. But we didn't even set it up that way. Once we decided not to set it up that way, it was like, okay, just give me money. Give me $1,000 a month, and then we'll figure out the balance at the end of the year.
Yeah, asking for the asking for the tax records or asking for the records of income is the only way for you to do your records that you need to be able to do with the medical. So it's not possible for you to do them before that. So at no point are you ever saying that you're going to do anything in any negative fashion. In fact, you can't move forward until you have that information. Otherwise, nothing changes, or you have any income that would change anything. So wanting to know what your income is going to be beforehand so you can plan ahead is not fraudulent in any way, shape, or form. That's the reasonable, pragmatic thing to be doing to make sure you don't make any mistakes. Plus, it also has absolutely nothing to do with affecting your medical in a financial sense anyway, because or in a tax sense, because you still hadn't received anything. You can't tax something you don't have.
And by the way, I also told him I don't care if he sends me money at bank account, PayPal. I don't care, because in the Death of NonSequitur, it's like, well, I'll send you money. There's gonna be a trail. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Because one time, like I said, he was like, well, I go to NunCon, I'll bring you a check or cash, whatever it is. I don't care. I'll get you the money, Steve. I'm like, okay, bring me cash. I don't give a shit how he brought me money. I really didn't. But everything has always been paid. I've always got my taxes done, except for that one time at state where I messed up. But I made it very clear. I wanted no tax issues. I want to make sure everything was in the up and up. So when anybody who says I was doing anything for tax fraud, or anybody who says that I was doing it for VA, that is defamation per se, because that is absolutely unequivocally wrong. My lawyer recognized that. People who have read these emails recognize that. Mm-hmm. And even Katie Paulson recanted that after reading these things, because I showed her a lot of this.
And then went on about it again.
And then went back to it. Okay, so...
no, I didn't say things that you didn't have can't be taxed. I was saying he can't do his taxes with income or an income tax for income.
Well, yeah, and he said he had an accountant. He's like, okay, we're just going to do it like this. The accountant's going to figure it all out, and then I'll pay you at the end of the year after the April 15th, right? And I even said, you know, can you wait till the end of the year? And I said, yeah, do it. How many times do you want to do it? One time a year, twice a year? I don't care how you do it. He said that his accountant had all that information, that he'd take care of it. Now, I ask anybody, did he ever give anybody the accountant's name? Did he ever give the lawyer's name? No, because they didn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody was contacting Steve. Did Kyle even ever contact your lawyer directly?
No.
Yeah, so Kyle was the one not talking to anybody. Kyle was served papers. He didn't respond to them. Kyle was called to court. He did not respond to that. So somebody was asking, so what happens, what does the court do once the paperwork is signed and then 14 days Kyle has to turn over the channel? If he doesn't, can he just keep the channel in perpetuity, or how can the court...
the court would do one of two things. One or two things, or the third both. They'll order a direct issuance to YouTube to sign the channel, to turn the channel over. Or they'll have an arrest warrant for Kyle to go in front of the judge to explain why he hasn't transferred it yet. That's called a civil contempt court charge.
Okay, so it would be there's a decent chance it would be one, the other, or both. Yeah. So in which case,
from what I understand, from what my lawyer said, with the options, that's what he has available. Yeah.
So that means that if the answer is both, then what happens is the court signs an order that YouTube forcibly moves it from Kyle onto Steve, and then they put out a warrant for Kyle to show up and explain himself.
Read Helios.
Yeah, Helios for 5 says, remember, when you're doing tax fraud, it is always best to make a huge public spectacle about it and put proof of it publicly on publicly available platforms.
Right. So I'm going to go to court. I'm going to sue, knowing that Kyle has emails too. I'm going in thinking, yeah, okay, I'm trying to do something illegal, and I'm going to sue the guy for it. No, nothing illegal ever happened. Nothing unethical ever happened. Kyle made all that stuff up, and yet... he says, right. Why would I take him to court if I know there's evidence against me that I've done something wrong? There's legit nothing. This is why nobody's ever showed anything. This is why they've gotten every single bit of information wrong. There's an explanation for everything. I never tried to hide anything. It's like, I didn't care how he paid me. And then the narrative went out there real quick. The narrative was out there. I was like, well, Steve didn't really need the money.
It's not about need. It doesn't matter.
I'm not supposed to get paid for a year and a half. Oh, by the way, there's a couple other screenshots I want to show. This is from your boy, Keon.
Oh.
The most inept person I've ever met in my life. He says,
it's a work of art.
He says, I was told by somebody listening. He's the gift that keeps on giving. I was told by somebody listening to Kyle that Steve was grabbing money from Streamlabs. He had access to the financials all the time, and he was guided by person B and R, which is, by the way, I assume to be Bulldonator and Red's Rhetoric. First of all, you can go watch the video, Death of the NonSequitur show, where I bring up Streamlabs. So I'm like, the last thing I saw on it was like $800. I never took a dime from Streamlabs. I never got a dime from NonSequitur. Not a single freaking dime. Anybody who has any evidence otherwise, please let me know.
My favorite part is just the first line of what Keon said immediately. Discredits everything that he says afterwards.
Yeah.
Because he's saying, somebody who was listening to Kyle, when everybody who was listening to Kyle has said Kyle lied to them. So he's talking about third-hand information from somebody who's passing him information from somebody everybody has said.
They've all said Kyle lied to them.
He was lying.
Yeah, and I had access to financials. Really? Where are the financials? Because I'm still waiting for them. Why would I sue for him to give me the financial records if I already had them?
or if...
I mean, that's stupid.
Okay.
I mean, it's just... Oh, my God, Keon. How grossly inept are you, man?
Beautiful.
I mean, is actually in the... I'm not going to show all the court records because anybody can go see them. The link in the video description. It says very clearly in there. There's an order to open all financial records to me, including Teespring, Patreon, everything.
Knickknack. Why would, if Steve already had the financial records, why would Kyle have any kind of problem showing them again to him anyway?
Right?
Was the
Right?
money from Non-Sequitur being put into Kyle's personal bank account? So
I
that's
don't know. But I assume so, but I'm not quite sure.
yeah, that's a little bit complicated. So what would have happened there is each individual source of income would have had essentially, if you have money from Patreon, you have to withdraw it from Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh, or if you're getting money from Streamlabs, you have to withdraw it from. If you're getting money from YouTube, you have to withdraw it from YouTube. If you're getting money from Teespring, you have to withdraw it from Teespring. There are a couple of options where you can set them to automatically go into an account. So if Kyle did that or pulled the money out, that was entirely him doing that and controlling that.
Right.
So he would have had to actively take those
And he
things
pulled
out
money
or
out.
set it up to do that.
And he pulled money out for rent and for travel, and for fine dining, and for stuff that he bought for his house. I didn't get a dime. Like I said, I didn't pull out a single dime. He was pulling out stuff, and he even said, "This comes out of my share." Matter of fact, I should find that email when I can here in a second. He wrote me and he said, he used the money for rent for Patreon, but he has money in the Google AdSense account that he couldn't access. My share would come out of that, right?
Helios 5 said, "I have made more money from Non-Sequitur show than Steve has because I used an episode to win a bet with my father once."
Well, somebody else. I think. Didn't G win $10? No, G-Man won $10. Yeah.
G-Man made more money on Non-Sequitur than Steve did.
Yeah.
Morton DKK 89 said, "I was told Cheshire is 17 by someone."
I also want to show one other screenshot. This is, I've shown this before, but just so it's on this video that people may not be aware of.
People are running the narrative that I pretend that I'm 17 now. So, I pretend to be a minor for some reason, and they think that's really disgusting. And it's like, you're just butthurt that you don't get the joke. God 5 also said, "I made more money on Non-Sequitur show than Steve because I won $500 in the lottery while watching one episode." I think that counts.
Give us 10%. Yeah, no, thanks. Congrats, God's Auditor. All right, so I never have anything written about the perpetuity agreement, although things are continuous until it's dissolved. That includes residuals. It's part of a general contract, business partnership. Back in 2018, December 2018, I sent this to my baby's mama. Okay, this is my baby's mama. We're talking about my daughter, whose name is Samantha. I call her Sam. I was asking her about, is she going to call me? She said she was trying to call you to thank you because I sent her some money. By the way, anybody who says I'm a deadbeat, whatever, is an idiot. I just literally sent her like $500. I send her money all the time, even though I'm not required to because I'm literally primary of my daughter. And I have
said he sent you that bottle of scotch, which is $50, so you got 10% already.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you're right. Thank you. That was good. By the way, I still got that scotch. It was really good. I'm gonna have some of that tonight for rum and coke night. We're going to bring out all the stops. I'm getting the good scotch. I saved that. It's one of those drinks that's so good. Like, you don't want to drink a lot. It's like for special occasions. But thank you for God's Auditor. So, like I said, I have primary ownership of my daughter. I went to court to get primary ownership of my daughter. It's just right now it's more convenient to her stepfather and her mom. However, she wants to change business living arrangements. There's rooms here. I might have her stay here for the summer or move in for a little while. And plus, I have some other things I'm looking into because she wants to come live with me for a while, and I'm quite fine with that. So this whole narrative of I spent a lot of money on my daughter, and I'm happy to do so. I take her shopping, went to Kohl's, got her all new school outfits and stuff like that. It's typical stuff that a dad will do, right?
Doting, I believe it's called.
Is that what it is? And my daughter has like not high end taste, but on certain things, she had to have like this one backpack, $50 for a backpack.
That's actually not terribly expensive.
That's expensive. I'm sorry, but I still got it for whatever. What?
Per 5 says, "Do you have timetable as to when you might retake the Non-Sequitur channel, or is it still up in the air?" And we got another one from Morton for DKK45 says, I almost lost as much money as Steve on this because I keep super chatting.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I don't have an estimate of when it's going to be. the lawyer called the court. The court says it's still in progress. The judge has to sign that order. That's the only thing we're waiting for. I can't speed it up. It's a slow process. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
it's
taking them
a
so
matter
long.
of yeah, it's a matter of the court signs or the judge signs the document. Unfortunately, the document went in during holidays,
Yeah,
so
we think it was because of the holidays. The document's there to be signed. So let me finish
yeah,
this real quick. So I would say, what's the? I need to make sure she has the right contact information, and she knows there's a file on my computer with her name on it on my desktop with all my information, passwords, account information, and if anything happens to me, it's still there. Um, well, I had to make a new one because this was back when I had an older computer, but I still have it. I want to make sure non-sequitur royalties eventually go to her if something happens to me, if the channel gets large enough for residuals. So you want to go, and I said, like, do you want to go see mom, which my mom, with Sam, which Samantha's my daughter. This is back in 2018. I was talking about residuals that I was planning for my daughter. Especially if something happens to me, this was all supposed to go to her. So when I mentioned that on the Death of Non Sequitur show, that was not a spur of the moment thing. This is something I discussed in depth with my daughter and her mom, even over coffee when the three of us went to go to this coffee shop that I went to that I get my daughter frozen ice cream with. And so when he was telling people in Discord, well, I don't think Steve really meant that he was taking money from his daughter. The hell I wasn't.
no, that's not something that
2018 is the timestamp here if you guys can't read it.
yeah.
So that was a lie. My daughter is the real reason why I moved down here. I sold my house. I had about $30,000 equity in it. Most of it was a gift in equity, but I sold my house. I quit my job. And I moved down here solely because instead of having to go 90 miles to see her, it was 2. Because she had been living with her mom prior, again, for reasons, even though I had primary custody. She was living with me for quite some time. But then her mom made a solid case about the schools and some other stuff. And I was like, okay, if you want to go live with your mom, I was cool with that. Because I told her, I don't want when it comes to schooling, that was her primary thing for my daughter. And I didn't want to fight for anything else because we already settled it for the court. And right now, me and her mom get along fantastic. I get along with her stepdad. We have no issues. And so I like the arrangement that it is. And even though I don't see her as much as I'd like to, everything I do is for my daughter, whether you guys see it or not. And if you don't believe me, I don't give a shit, to be honest with you. It's mind-boggling that these people bring in my daughter as a weapon, which a lot of them have done.
What's the date on that?
What?
The screenshot you were showing?
November 8th, November 25th, 2018.
2018. So this was slightly after the show was.
I already got rid of it.
A couple months after the show was monetized.
Yeah. Yeah. So June, it was in July, so August, September, October, November, 4 months. By the way, we weren't making a hell of a lot of money by then, but I was like, I saw potential, and I was like, if we start getting more money, I want to make sure that she gets the residuals. This is why I'm saying in perpetuity. That's the same thing as means residuals. Same thing, And so when he had agreed to all that, I mean, this was something that even he admitted on the Non Sequitur show, that was the case, or the Death of Non Sequitur show. He knew it. He knew I was doing this for my daughter. So when he said, well, I don't really think that Steve thinks that he was taking money from my daughter. Really? So, and Bullinator can attest to this as well. So, and by the way, you have talked to my daughter.
Yep.
And by the way, where were you talking to her at? At the coffee stop. On my laptop.
Yeah. I was talking to, and your baby's mama was there too.
Yeah, she was there. So everything I tell you guys is straight up the truth. Other people who want to try to character assassinate me will try to find anything to latch onto. If there's any minor inconsistency or out of context.
Are you kidding? I cannot wait until Steve's daughter is a little bit older and she gets to come in here swaying like a mother. It's gonna be beautiful.
She's badass.
She's gonna be. If she ever wants to do this, she's gonna do such a good job. She's fantastic.
Free to Play says he meant his daughter figuratively. According to Russia's Rids, she's actually a paid actor transgender pretending to be my daughter. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna bring this to a close because I don't want to go too long so people can watch it. I think I've answered everybody's questions. I'm not going to be continuing after tonight for the Rub and Coke thing. It's a dead thing as far as I'm concerned. But I think this is important that people have the facts out there. We are once we get started the non sequitur show. This will all be water under the bridge. We hopefully be bigger, better. I got guests that I know is lined up. I'm working with Reasons to Believe right now, so we have access to all their scholars. They want to be part of it.
Yeah.
I know Duncan Peasants wants to be a part of it. We will have. I know Undoomed wants to be a part of it. We have people ready to go, and so all these people before they were like, "Oh well, I'm not going to come on because Steve's the co-host." Screw you.
Good. Stay gone.
Those are the people that I blocked. Those are the people I don't want around.
Well, those are the people who tried to take over and run the channel and failed at it miserably. So, good. Stay gone.
Bravo. So we're going to end this now. I hope I got everything out on this video. Again, this was a one-off. I don't give permission to anybody to show my personal information, DMs or emails. This is not something that's regular for me, but I think given the circumstances, given the reasons, I had an ethical consideration to the non-sequitur fans that I promised them. And by the way, I will never try to take advantage of you guys like Kyle had. And I know Kyle did, straight up. He didn't give a crap. He wasn't about the fans. I know this. Bull knows this. Reds knows this. Chess knows this. I was, and I still am. This is why I feel like I have a duty for
them. Most of the fans know that.
Yeah, I think they do too.
And none of the people who showed up on that channel after the fact, or any of the people that have gone after Steve, or people who have either done it privately or in public places, sometimes trying to be a little bit sneaky about it, because I've seen that.
Yep, and then, by the way, how do you think people are going to take people
without apologizing publicly?
People will take this video and they'll try to find any little thing to harp on, any little out of context. It's going to happen. Try. But I think the real honest people know what's going on. They'd have from the beginning. And by the way, a lot of them who came to me, I showed them emails. They understood. The ones that didn't, those are the ones that lied about it, misrepresented it, and just was like, "Well, Steve did this, Steve did that." No, I've been on the up and up from day one.
Patreon money diverted to Cinnamon Toast Crunch fun.
Yeah. All right, so if you guys want to join us for the Rum and Coke night to physically come in and talk about this, we'll be happy. Yeah. Like I said, I'm the most transparent person out there. I think I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want people to disagree with me. I don't want people just to agree with me. If you think that I made a mistake or I'm wrong, by all means, let me know.
And any of the
I don't run from anybody. What I do is I block people that are not people I want to have in my life, and I will never talk to them. But fans and friends and subscribers and anybody even who just has something to say, I'm going to listen to you.
Oh yeah, Reds will still have that stream. Reds will still have that hangout. There's no way he would give that up when he's gonna boot out all the mods. Nonsense.
I did promise him that, so don't give away too much yet because we got plans for that.
Yep,
that's just a teaser. But don't give away too much.
And keep in mind anybody who spoke out against Steve and the fans and spoke up to Kyle again without apologizing to the fans and actively saying that they weren't going to, or actively not apologizing to the fans publicly. The fans know. The fans recognize what happened. They can see. They know exactly what's going on. They know
Sandra points out
who cared about them and who didn't.
Sandra points out everything you said is what you've already said. Yeah, it's called consistency.
Yeah. Oh, and keep in mind, I will also be doing a TLDR about this because this is one section of what's gone on, and this is more addressing a lot of the narratives and putting the information out there. Again, this is information that's already out there. It's just a matter of making it easy access. So it's
Rum and Coke could be in about 20 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, I'll be doing a TLDR of the entirety of the situation, including how the show was formed. So that'll probably clear up. Yeah, let's get drinks ready, and we'll be back in half an hour.
One other thing I guess we get on this video real quick.
We're going at 9, right?
Since you're doing it too long didn't read. Yeah. Should we tell them about who was supposed to call the other day, or should we wait for Rum and Coke night?
We should wait for Rum and Coke. Let's wait for Rum and Coke.
All right. Now you guys got to tune in Rum and Coke. We have more info on other unrelated stuff.
So yeah, if you have any questions about this, if you have any questions that went on about the stuff that went on, not last night, the night before, that 5-hour stream, if you have any questions about any of the stuff related to that, that's essentially what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm fine with the trolls and the haters and the people going to run narrative. Let them. They're not in charge of my life. My life has been amazing. You know, like I said, I'm honored to be part of Reasons to Believe, even though I disagree with him. But that gives me an opportunity to ask them questions, and they're legit afraid that I'm going to convert people to agnosticism. I mean, they loved it. They really enjoyed listening to what I had to say. Treated me with the utmost respect. I was just flabbergasted how nice they all were. Dr. Hughes Ross's wife is just so nice. And,
I'm looking forward to seeing an episode.
Yeah, so am I. Even though we did a demo run. It's a lot different being in a studio, by the way.
Oh yeah, I imagine so.
And I also got invited to the Atheist Christian Book
And
Club, as you guys may have watched that on my channel. That was extraordinary. So I have people that do want to listen to me. I do have followers. I do have friends, a lot of friends, people that trusted me all along. And to them, I think this is vindication that I've been right all along. And the people that don't, they're not. Those are people I just don't have around. And so I don't know where else to go with that. Those haters have propelled me so far because they've shown themselves to be dishonest. They've shown themselves not to care about the facts because none of them saw these emails.
yep.
So. All right. So let's wrap it up, guys. We'll see you in about 15, 20 minutes. We're on a Coke night. If you want the link and we know who you are, you can come in and ask any question you want. Whether you think that I lied about something, you think that I tried to steal something or unethical, fraud, anything you want, bring it to me because unlike other people, I have nothing to hide. I'm full. I like to have those discussions. I'm like,
And
sure.
if you want to be
What you got? You
vetted
think I lied? Show me where I lied because I guarantee it. Nobody has showed I lied about anything. Nobody.
and if you want to be vetted for future ones, email Steve.
Yeah, and there's a special email in the video description. We're moving over groups because the old group that I had for some reason not coming up. Paul's trying to fix it. My admin guy, so he's made a new one. So I'm gonna have to work on that mailing list kind of thing.
Yep.
All right,
And
so
we'll see you guys soon.
oh, I got beepies. Who's beeping me?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let's check. Maybe important before I go because I'm getting beeped.
Buzz, 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 buzz.
Oh.
Hey, Link. Listen. Look. Hey.
Oh, it's for Link. Okay. Yes, it's for links. All right, I get you the link, guys. Thanks for watching this. And like I said, please leave your comments in the description. Any questions I'll try to answer on this video. If you're a troll, if you're a person I've already blocked, you're just going to get removed again.
And you're also more than welcome, even if you don't come in, that you will be able to ask questions in chat as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just reminding people that I do remove comments. I do remove people that are that have been known trolls, and the people have extricated my life. They don't get a say in any of this. Okay? Thanks, guys. Hashtag Steve wasn't wrong.
Hashtag Bull is best boy.